Alright, so day 2, Breakthrough Consulting Bootcamp. So today we're going to go over the products. So yesterday we had mindset, and now it's going to be all to do with like the market and the products and the services. So we're going to start off with an introduction to them, and then a little bit of websites. So websites is only going to have like this much of the day. And then the rest of it's just going to be on, then we're going to go over SEO for a whole hour, then AdWords for a whole hour. These are the major two that I think these are the major two. I found these to be the major two. And then break for lunch, and then Facebook, and then content and email marketing, and then copywriting. So the whole day is just going to be about upskilling, on the knowledge of these products and services. So introduction to the market and the products. So what's the next slide? Yeah, so like when I first started out, I did, when I first launched CFC, like the very first one, it was all to do with websites. And then I spoke a little bit about retainers, and we didn't really know that much about them and thought they were really rare. And then, now it's become just all that, but it's changed. And I mean, there's still nothing wrong with websites, but it seems like everyone is more interested in the retainers side of things. So today we're going to go over, all the main ones in detail, and I'll tell you, how I came there. So, the journey and lessons learned. So when I started out, it was 1K websites. Then I worked out how to sell them for 10 grand and more by introducing lead capture and copywriting and, following conversion best practices. And then dabbling in retainers a bit. That's when we sort of bundled together, look, we had the $1,500 retainer and then the $3,000 retainer. And they were quite rare. I think I said that out of every, say, 5 website deals, you might get one of those. And sort of treated them that way. But now it's sort of moved into just purely the retainer stuff and just purely the four high margin products. So I'll tell you how I came to this. So I became obsessed with all this 80-20 stuff and power laws. Who actually knows what a power law is? Okay, that's cool then. So it's in that book, 0 to 1 as well. Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and all of them are obsessed about power laws. What it basically means is that everything in the world, every action doesn't have an equal reaction. So and everything in the world isn't normally distributed. So it's more distributed like on a chart like this. So if you've ever done economics and you look at wealth distribution, it's called the Lorenz curve. And 80% of any sort of economy's wealth is held by 20% of the people. And the scary thing is even if you take the rich list, which is, do they have a rich list in America, like top 100 or something like that? Yeah. So in New Zealand they've got one of those too, and I looked, and it looked like New Zealand had a curve like this. 20% of the population owned 80% of the wealth, and the same with land. And then I got the rich list, and I looked to see if you could even apply 80-20 to the rich list, which is the top already. And the top 20% of the rich list have 80% of it. But then I took it to just the top 2 guys, 1 and 2. And the top guy has 80% more than the bottom guy. So it's like this sort of stuff is always out there, like nothing's even. And what it means is that in a business, not every customer is equal, and not every lead is equal, not every prospect is equal, and definitely not every product and service you sell is equal. It's not just singular. We sort of touched on this a little bit in cash flow consulting when we talked about picking the sweet spot. So when we target people that are doing over $1 million, they're actively spending money on marketing, that's kind of, hitting on a power law of, that's the best segment of the market to focus on. Because if you land one of those guys as clients, then you get a whole lot more. Whereas if you target, if you treat everyone as equals, and you get a website client at $1,000, it's pretty much the same amount of work, the same amount of effort, but the difference is more than like 10 times. Does that make sense? So I started applying this stuff to everything, and with segmentation of the market, who we choose, it's the sweet spot thing is still exactly the same. You want the segment of the market that's actively spending money on marketing. You want them to be doing more than US 1 million in revenue, and all the other things we talked about. But I started to apply 80-20 to like the actual things that we were selling. And I looked at revenue in the business, but I didn't just look at revenue, I looked at time associated to each dollar, and then like profit associated to each dollar, and found out that SEO retainers and the other products I'm going to cover today, this is where most of the money was. So what I did is, I applied 80-20 to the market, and that's, how we choose the market is pretty much exactly the same. But I also applied 80-20 to the offerings, and that's how I came up with, the market. This is still exactly the same. So over 1 mil USD in revenue, high ticket, which means they sell products or services that average sale price is above about $1,000. And they're established, which means they've been in business for longer than about 2 or 3 years, and actively spending money on marketing, and it needs your services. So they stand to benefit by what you have. So this is kind of the sweet spot of the market. And then here's what I've found to be the 80-20 of digital marketing. If you're gonna, this is the stuff that yields the most money and also has the most profit. So SEO, AdWords, Facebook, content and email marketing, and then websites, but only when bundled with these things. So if someone needs a website, then I'm happy to do it, but only if I'm also going to get a retainer. If someone just wants a website, it's a no. But if someone wants to take a couple of these products, then sure. And a good way to get the deal over the line is by just dividing this by 12, the total price of this by 12, and then adding each monthly installment to the price of the retainers. So if these were $2,000 each, that would be $4,000. If this was $12,000 divided by 12, it would be 1 added to that, so it'd be $5,000 per month. And you've kind of locked them into 12 months because you own their website until they've paid for it in full. And at $5,000 a month, like that's a pretty decent client, and you're quite confident that you're going to hold them for 12 months. So that's what I've found to be really, really, really powerful. Yeah.
If they were to buy all four, have you ever offered, like, if you sign up for all four of these products, I'll like basically include the website for free if they're going to spend like a pretty large amount of money with you?
I would if they didn't suck to do, like. They still are painful to do, and I still am thinking, like, am I even making the right move doing them? But I just wouldn't feel right charging someone, because I do have some clients that, their total spend per month might be $10,000, and I wouldn't feel right taking that money, and I don't think they would get very good results if we're directing all that traffic there and creating all of that buzz for them when the person lands on a substandard website. You know what I mean?
Remember you mentioned it in Facebook a while ago. Are you licensing these websites to the clients, like you said you were going to do? Or are you doing contracts and then it's owned by the client?
So inside the contracts they use, we license different things, which means that basically we own the ad copy, and we own all of the data and the best practices to how we build all the ads and everything. And we own their AdWords account and the intellectual property and things, which means that if someone, because there is a bit of, the real risk in AdWords and things is if someone cancels and they're just like, send me the login, then they can just give it to someone else and they can kind of learn exactly how you do everything.
So with that, I've run into that problem before. Could you share your contract?
I know it's a problem because that's how I take business from the competition. And I was like, I don't want someone else to do that to me, so I put it in the contracts.
Can you share that contract with us?
Yeah. So that's going to be, so everyone here got, or is going to get, or has already got access to that new course, the Consulting Blueprint. And in that there's all of the, all of the contracts and everything. Yeah.
So when you tell new clients that you're going to be licensing their website to them, they never push back on that?
So we're not licensing their website.
Okay.
They own their website.
Gotcha.
It's mostly just, so we're not doing something dodgy, we're just protecting ourselves, because the only time someone would cancel on us is if what we were doing isn't working. And if what we're doing isn't working, then why would they want the stuff, the intellectual property behind the campaigns, right?
Gotcha.
So the only time they'd want that and leave is if it was working and they were just trying to, cut our lunch and cut their costs.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, when you say advertising, in that sweet spot, you have like a specific cutoff for how you classify them as spending money on advertising. I mean, if they're $1 million company and they're only spending $10,000 a year on advertising, is that still a sweet spot? Like, how do you specifically segment advertising and fit them in a sweet spot?
So just spending, so just anything really, just so long as they do marketing. There are some companies out there that don't do marketing. So like we got a consultation with this company called Manson's Property in New Zealand, and I was so excited because they're like $1 billion company pretty much, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. But the way they're a commercial development company, and they only deal with a few developments a year, and they build like high-rise buildings and stuff, and they don't do like any advertising, like no AdWords or anything like that, and they don't really need to either. And so I was like, well, that wasn't as good as I thought. So that's why the advertising element's still in there, because these guys are, oh, there it goes. So that's why actively spending and needs your services are still pieces of criteria, right? Because otherwise this Manson's Property company would have hit all the boxes. It's way over 1 million revenue. It's extremely high ticket. They sell commercial buildings that and they're very well established, but they didn't really need the services and they weren't spending on any form of marketing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is a plumber high ticket enough?
Yeah, so an average plumbing job is pretty decent, like if you average them all out. So you might think of just fixing a leaky pipe might be just $250 or something, right? But a lot of jobs, especially the ones that I've dealt with, they love the hot water cylinder jobs, and apparently that's where all the profit is, and like AdWords is the best for that, because when someone's hot water cylinder gives out, it's urgent because their family needs, warm water, and when you're in pain, when you're in a lot of pain, like you just buy anything. So I remember a really good example was, like, someone told me this story, I forget who it was, but their dad was just went to the same mechanic every single time, refused to go to any other mechanic for his car. His car couldn't be touched by any other mechanic, right? But then one time they were on a long distance trip and the car broke down and the whole family was in the car, and it was getting cold and the night was about to come, and he just called the phone number of the first mechanic he got and just took it straight there, right? So when pain's involved, like all logical reason and research and everything just goes out the door. And in the markets, like we've found that locksmiths and plumbers, when you're locked out of your car, when you're locked out of your home, or if you've got a burst pipe, a leaking pipe, or a hot water cylinder, that's why they make such good clients for SEO and AdWords. Yeah. So high ticket, I think we could probably add another one in there, high pain. Emergency services are definitely really, really, really hot markets to sell to. So you've got emergency dental, you've got emergency like carpet cleaning and things like that. Pardon?
Pets like big.
So I think we could write slash next to that high ticket slash high pain because, but yeah, I think on average a plumber would still fit high ticket because a lot of those jobs are quite expensive. Yeah.
So I got a question for you with the $1 billion company you just talked about. Did you approach them through a referral or was it via a lumpy mail package?
I think we lumpy mailed them, yeah.
And a $1 billion company responded to that?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So have you gotten out and away from websites totally? And kind of focus more on the top 40 you had on the
yeah, so now I will lead with the 4. So I'm kind of marketing and looking to sell the 4.
Which one of those have you found for yourself so far?
So I've got 80/20 distribution just in these, right?
Right.
And it's in here.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. But they have to already have a marketing mindset.
Half the money in the whole business comes from this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I meant.
Yeah. And this just and this works, you know, like
Sure.
it really does work for a lot of the companies.
Sure. And websites, they consume a lot of time, and there's a whole lot of.
They're a hell of a job,
Yeah,
but
it's an ego and an image problem for most people.
but the other thing is if you're pointing AdWords traffic, like if it doesn't convert, the guy's not going to stay with you for very long as a client, you know. So that's why I still haven't said let's leave them out because there are times when you need to still do this stuff.
But it would be ideal. What I'm finding is it's ideal to do minimal work to it.
Yeah,
A little bit of
absolutely.
copy here, rearranging some images. Here you go. Let's get a marketing firm for you.
Yeah.
No one thinks like that.
Mm.
No one. Right.
Because the winning recipe to online marketing is a converting website and then traffic. And so, and this stuff up here is just traffic. And this is like the converting website. That is the formula to what works.
Are you farming out the content and email yourself also?
So so I'll get to that because I'll go over each one in detail.
Sure.
You pretty much all of it is still outsourced.
Right.
Mm. But I've found that these are. This has like, you know, enabled me to really scale the business up.
Right.
And there's a lot of this business out there.
And you're averaging $5K per month on these, you're saying, as a retainer for SEO AdWords Facebook?
No, so on average, I'd say, I know my average client value is $3,000. Yeah,
Okay.
per month.
And you're staying how long?
Like we haven't lost really any. We've lost maybe 2. It's hard for me to say lifetime value because
It
we.
takes a while to find
Yeah,
the lifetime value.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Do you still do CRM setups?
Pardon?
Do you still
No, that is one thing that I really want to stay away from. So, I mean, one thing, I used to say yes to anything, right? I told you about my biggest problem I've made, and now saying yes to a CRM setup it's a big deal, you know. And saying yes to a website deal is a lot of work as well. Yeah, I was dealing with a client this morning. I woke up at like 4 a.m. this morning to try and get the chaos sorted from back in New Zealand, and there was already someone sending over like, can you change this logo here and this stuff here? And I was like, oh, it doesn't stop. And they also said that it doesn't like because it's a new site, and they said the colors don't really fit with our brand. Yeah. It's just the typical stuff, you know, and it's always going to be like that. Mm.
Do you have someone that's like full-time on your team that just manages those like requests from clients, or
What do you mean?
the requests for like changing stuff on the website?
Yeah, so I outsource it, but a lot of the time someone will still send the requests to me.
Okay.
If I was the one that sold them.
When you sell them, do you hand them off to an account manager, like a customer success, person?
Yeah, so,
They still email you.
well, in this particular case, I was the one that sold this client. So I'm still kind of manning that account. Yeah.
When you say you spread the website over 12 months, do you own it until they pay the full?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
And they never push back on that?
Well, it's hard to, really. Like, I mean, you do. It's like if you install glass and someone, if you're a glass installer, you put a pane of glass in someone's house, they don't pay, you've got the right to come and remove it. Yeah.
So when you sell the website and a retainer, do you have them start paying for that when you still haven't redone the website? Like, let's just say it takes 2 months to redo your website, and you've spread out the payment over a 12-month period. How do you then structure that? Do you make them start paying for the retainer right away, or do you basically just, I mean, how do you get paid for
Yeah, that's a good question.
You can actually do the AdWords or SEO?
So I take the money up front for the first month and won't start the recurring clock until, you know, after 1 month after it's been live. Does that make sense?
Okay, gotcha. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So you charge the first month up front, you set everything up, and then once it's set up, the 30 days starts, and then you bill them again and then when it hits that 30 after it's been live.
So
Yeah.
in this case, where you sold an SEO and AdWords and a website, and it was $5K a month, you would take that $5K, and then maybe it took 45 days for the site to be all done, set up and live. Then you would basically start the clock and then bill them after 1
Yeah.
month after that.
Yeah.
So at that point, it would be
That's another reason why these things suck, because they, like, sometimes it's taken 2 months to get something up, and that's 2 months I could have been, like, charging $5,000, you know?
gotcha.
And another point is, you don't usually make money the first month with recurring because of all the setup, but you pay all your outsourcers a month behind. So you get paid first, they do all the work, and then you're getting the second check and you're paying the outsourcers. So, you know, it's tight a little bit, but you know, the first month usually there's not a lot of profit with all the setup, right?
Yeah, the first month, it's all to do with long term, right? When it comes to recurring revenue, it's always like that. In SaaS, generally 3 months until you break even. So if you get a SaaS client and you lose them after 1 month, it's a loss. Like if you start making profit after 3, that's the typical. In this, I would say you start, the beauty of it is that you don't lose, but on 1 month you kind of break even, and then it starts making money, yeah.
Do you consider marketing automation to be the same as CRM and you avoid it?
Yeah, it's like I can't even set up my own marketing automation, like let alone a client's one. You know, like my own CRM and my own marketing automation is a mess, and it drives me nuts. And that's when I get to put my full, dedicated, you know, attention on it. So if I can't get it right for myself, like chances are I don't really want to sell that as a service. You know.
Do you get customers asking for it, or are they just kind of unaware of that option?
Generally not. Like, because it's just focusing on taking someone from nothing, which a lot of the time is what I'm doing now, to that is too big of a jump anyway. Yeah.
What are you using for recurring billing, like the software?
So the beauty of it is that it's just, do you guys have direct debits in America?
Yeah.
So I've got like a contract that they fill out, and they fill out this bank form, and I send it to the bank, and then they just charge directly to their account. So there's no merchant fees. I think I pay 50 cents a transaction. And the beauty of direct debits is that a lot of the time it will come out even if they don't have enough money. So it takes them into OD as well, which means that it means that you're pretty much always going to get paid. It's like the most reliable thing out. Where the credit card, you get, you know, people cancel their cards, update them, like it's a mess. Yeah, and a lot of the time they decline. Yeah. Yeah.
And then one more thing. I've in the past actually skipped working on bad websites or selling a bad website. It's just linked up 3 pages, optimized press or unbounce, a landing page software, and then just created a landing page for a specific AdWords campaign to skip having to do the website. So it's a quicker remedy than one of the websites to just do landing pages on the side, and then start running the current revenue side as quick as possible.
You still tied up to the original domain though?
Yeah.
The problem I've had with that is that if you do that, you can't take the SEO business because it's Yeah. Yeah. And I usually like to take it all. But not just because of the money, but mostly because that's going to get the client the most benefit, you know? When the landing pages the team build for SEO are the same we use for AdWords. So the page gets used for both purposes. And then when we find that it's a winner through AdWords, we optimize it more through SEO. And, you know, AdWords kind of acts as the scouting tool for SEO. No SEO campaign should take place before keywords have been tested first with AdWords. So you find, you know, you might have 10 keywords, 10 ads, 10 landing pages. You see which ones work, see which ones are producing the business, and then that's your SEO strategy, you know. That's the best selling point. That's like my new script. Like, that's what I say to people. And they're like, that makes so much sense, because right now we've got SEO here, AdWords here, and they don't talk to each other, so how do they know what the winners are? And I was like, well, they don't even know what the winners are because they don't track. And, you know, the real thing to do is to have these two together and test with this first, find the winners, and then SEO the winners. Because then you start to optimize for something you know is going to work.
And that's what I was saying. Is with that methodology, you spend your landing page first. You can find out what wins before doing the website.
Yeah.
So you get to start immediately. Then you can do a website, optimize those landing pages, and then start doing SEO for winners. Get the whole thing with that first one.
Did you run into an issue doing that where I thought I remember hearing that AdWords you were sending them to a real website as opposed to a landing page? Is that, you run into that issue with that approach? Like a front loader?
It's if you optimize the website, it's fine. You wouldn't want to send it to a really bad website, you know, but if you optimize the website, the page is fine. It'll have a high quality score. It just comes down to optimizing the page. So, but with most clients, unless they're spending like 10 grand on AdWords, there's no point in setting up, you know, all these landing pages. It just kind of depends on the client. But most of the clients can be smaller. Just send it to the website, optimize the website, and don't do the work twice, you know. So.
Well, one way around that is using lead pages. You gotta install that and it'll set up a page on the site.
Right, but lead pages, you can't edit it that well. So that's more like a promotion offer or something, rather than just like traffic from SEO.
I've found the best way to do it is to do the website and to build out like a whole bunch of landing pages that are on the site. So then, like, landing pages can still be built on WordPress within the website, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then, you know, we typically build out a lot because it works. Like, for a lot of these businesses, the formula has just become so simple. And the thing that works is that, let's say you've got a plumber and, you know, we find out what his key services are. So he will list off all of these things, and then I always say to him, well, look, you know, where does most of the profit come? What do you really want here? Because let's focus on that. And they really like that. Well, they're like, oh, it's the hot water cylinder jobs and it's these things. And I'm like, okay, write those down. Like, these are your 3 key services, or your 4 key services. Now, where does most of your business come from? Like, what geographical areas? Because a lot of these businesses deal with geographical areas. And they say these different suburbs, and they're typically the wealthier ones. And we get a list of those. And then we're like, okay, so we're going to build landing page combinations for these 3 key services in each of these different key local areas. So we build those out. And then the ads are for that keyword. So it might be hot water cylinder repair Miami, for example. That's a keyword. That's an ad. That's a landing page, right? Then we set all of that up. It goes live. We see which ones work. And then when we find out the ones that work, then SEO optimizes those pages for those keywords. Does anyone not get that? Because that's
30-day turnover, 60-day terms where you see what's working the best.
Generally, yeah, at least 30 days. Yeah.
It just depends on the traffic, like how much traffic there is. If there's 5 people, you know, a month from one keyword, there's maybe not a lot. You know, data go off of whether there's 100, there's more data. So.
Well, you need an end point, right? If you haven't had any conversions, like, you don't even know. So you've got to obviously go for longer.
And when you say winners, it's conversion, so it's like either a call or someone who filled in the form, right? It's not the end purchase.
So I'm going to show you what I use. I use call tracking. It's the best thing for these businesses. And it's not the natural call tracking. I white label a software that I call my own. So I say it's like proprietary software that allows us to do so and so. And it's another one of my selling points for selling this stuff. And what it does is it tracks the call to that keyword and everything. But it also whispers to the client when the call comes through. So it will say, the following call is coming from Sam Ovens Consulting, and then connects the call. So every single time someone calls, like, they know that, you know, I'm doing my job, and when you are doing a good job, there's no way they're ever going to leave. And it shows that it's working. But it does more than that. It also records the entire call. And it logs it under there, and they can log in and look at the keyword, number of calls, and even play the calls. So there's no arguing at the end of the month whether that's delivered results.
What software do you use?
I'll get to it. We're going to go over each one. Yeah. So we'll keep going then. So what are your weak spots? Just quick exercise out of these ones. Just circle what you think are your weak spots.
I just had a quick question. Do you literally, so for every keyword you create a landing page? So like plumber Auckland, hot water Auckland, or whatever the suburb name, you'll create one for each?
Yeah, so I don't do it personally.
Yeah, but you get it done.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll have 150 landing pages.
It's just, yeah, for one of my clients, we have like 320 ads that we run, like all conversions, so we'll probably have to create 320 different landing pages in that way.
But that's the best for SEO too, is to have one page for each keyword. So
Yeah, it really works.
yeah,
Like,
competitors do that. So for a small client, like local clients, you just make all the landing pages, and it's not even that much SEO. It's just making each page, and now they're the only one going after that keyword, so they automatically rank number
So
one.
you use a plugin to create the landing pages?
so I don't know how they're done. The developer does them. Yeah. Yeah, he's just building them in natural, like coding them. Yeah.
It's like a normal page that you send traffic to on WordPress.
Yeah. But you take away the nav.
Yeah, so the nav's generally removed.
Do you link it from the home website? Do you link it to that landing page?
You talking like in the menu?
I don't think so.
Or even
It just depends. Usually you can put down like areas we serve, and it can drop down, and it can have like the list of all the cities, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of times for SEO, you want to have a link from the homepage. You just have the menu, areas we serve, and then drop down, you know, our services we offer, and then the services we offer, areas we serve. You just kind of do that, so it's easy.
I've got a quick question. Do you own the content too?
For what?
You say you own the website, the AdWords account.
So I don't own the website. That they own that, but I'd own it until they'd paid for it, right?
I'm talking about the content marketing.
Oh, no.
Okay, so the content in the email, the email that you can copy.
Yeah, well, you're creating it for them, right?
Sure.
But with this stuff, with AdWords, you're, depending on the way the contract is you're either building that whole account and all of that intellectual property for them, or you own the intellectual property and you're, managing the ad spend for them and getting them results. It's like if you invested money in a hedge fund, like you don't own, how they multiply that money in the hedge fund. You know what I mean? That's their intellectual property. Mm.
Do you set up a Facebook account that's separate from that?
No, I would just use their Facebook account.
Well, then they could take your ads if they were to leave you.
So the only reason I talked about licensing was mostly for SEO and AdWords.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't really to do with the others at all. And to be honest, most of it is here.
Okay.
Because there's a lot to protect there.
And even with Facebook AdWords, I'm sure his guy's the admin. We don't make the owners the admin on the Facebook account, and they can't access the ad because in Facebook they can see all the ad accounts for all the clients. So AdWords, you can set it up so the client can log in and just look at their, their account if they wanted to. But we don't have any, there's no owners in that.
None of our clients can log into their AdWords.
Yeah, we don't let them do that. In Facebook, we don't let them do that.
They don't want to see it anyway.
They're too busy. They don't care.
And it's you need about 3 weeks worth of training to know what you're looking at. It's very, very, very complicated. Mm.
I got a question for you. So you're saying you're selling sites at $12,000 and $2,000 a piece for the 4 up on top?
Oh, I'd say on average this would be 10.
10?
Yeah.
And those are two.
If it's easy, it would be 4 or 5.
Yeah.
If it's real simple, if it's going to be a pain in the ass, 10. And depending on these do vary depending on some different things, which is what we'll go over each one in detail. Yeah.
Sure.
But what are the weak spots out of all of these? Whose is SEO? AdWords? Facebook? Content and email marketing? Which one do you want to learn about the most?
AdWords.
Yeah. There's a lot of money in AdWords. It really is going to become like the next Yellow Pages. That's why Yellow Pages themselves are selling AdWords. Because you've got to look at Google and how big of a company is. 95% of its income comes from AdWords. It is AdWords. They create the other things to camouflage it all. And it's not going anywhere. And it's actually, every single day, it's becoming more and more important,
Could you just do a brief overview of what makes AdWords different from Facebook and the advantages of each one?
Sure. So SEO and AdWords are very, very, very complementary things. I believe that if people search, you should do both. And you should do AdWords first, find the winners, then have an SEO strategy. Because in the long, everyone should have an SEO strategy if people are searching. Facebook is, I think, if the audience is on Facebook, then it's important to have a page and to have some engagement and post, because it also helps with SEO. A lot of the algorithms for SEO do take into account some social elements. And Facebook is becoming very powerful. And then content and email marketing, I believe that every company should have an email list. It's very, very, very valuable. And I believe that with content marketing, that again helps with this, So ideally, every company would have all of that. That's really what you should be doing.
Did you say that you outsource the website now to someone else? And so how involved are you? How do you make sure that they use the best practices, that use the good headlines, good copywriting, good capture, and all that stuff?
So if I showed you a lot of sites, you'd be surprised. They don't look as nice as you think or anything. They're not perfection. They're more just, they just work good enough, you know what I mean? So what I've found is it's easier to have an average client at $3,000 per month and have lots of them and just do a good enough job to actually help their business than it is to do these perfection jobs for higher ticket clients. The locksmiths and the plumbers and all of that, they make up, and there's tons of businesses in there. It's the ones that used to pay for Yellow Pages. These guys, there is a huge amount of them, and it really works for them.
But they used to pay $50,000.
Yeah.
So it's actually cheaper now.
And it really works. We've got a locksmith that the guy's gone from one guy to 10, and his phone's just constantly ringing. Yeah.
How do you price videos?
Yep. So I'll go into that stuff. But all right. So AdWords is a big one that everyone wants to know. So we've already got your weak spots. We did some Q&A. So let's go into SEO. So pretty much everyone knows what it is, right? Does anyone not know what it is?
Are you asking if we know what it is or how it works?
Well, just like, you know it's optimizing a site to come up in Google for search terms, right? Sweet. Then, overview, we're going to go, so how we'll cover each particular one is very fast what it is, and then what segment of the market's the best fit, and then what we include in our packages for the clients. So that was like with AdWords, I told you that I used that software. That software has helped me make a lot of money because it really is like what they want, you know? It's really cool to bundle things together and white label them as your own. What we include in our packages, how we package it all together and how we price it, and then some additional resources to learn more. Because for each one of these things, I mean, you can learn a whole bunch more, right? And I think it's definitely worthwhile learning a bit more about SEO and AdWords beyond what we're going to cover today. I'll give you some good resources for that. And so the ranking factors for SEO, so using 80/20, so I just like to use 80/20 for everything now, so we pretty much forget about all the small ones and just look at SEO. When I boil it down and I tell it to a client, I just say you've basically got your on page to make sure that you have pages around those keywords. So if you're a plumber in Miami, then you probably want to have a web page that is, in the URL says plumber Miami, and then you have that keyword plumber Miami in the title a couple of times throughout the body, and you know that's how you do on page. That's how I'd sort of explain it to them. Really simple. The other one is links. So links pointing to the site from other sites, and then the last one is like the content creation, so unique content being created. So that's pretty much what I boil it down to. I know there's a ton more stuff, but really if you have a well-optimized site, you have a keyword strategy, you create content on a regular basis around those keywords, and you have someone actively building links, that's good. That's good enough. So that's how I explain it to people when I'm selling it to them. And what segment is the best fit? So they need to fit our sweet spot, and they're not on page 1 of Google results. So people that are on like 5, 4, 3, and 2. It's really, using like 80/20 again, it's insanely hard to get someone from 3 to 1. Like ranking number 3 to number 1, that's a hard thing to touch because you're trying to get that last incremental gain. But trying to get people from page 5 to page 1 is quite easy to do. Well, it depends on the market, but in most of these smaller markets, it's quite easy to do. So my SEO guy says 90 days, so I say 90 days. Well, generally I actually say like 60 days. I try to stretch it a bit. Yeah. And then I tell him that I just told them 60 days.
And with AdWords, it doesn't matter because they only get calls right away, That's the point of bundling everything together. They're not waiting to see them show up on page 1. They're only getting calls.
Yeah. If you're just selling SEO, like, it's hard. Like, we've had guys who we've just sold SEO to, and they're on your back, like, all the time, because they're like, we're not moving. And I'm like, it's been like 5 days, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure we haven't even started working on this yet. Yeah. And it's SEO on its own is a hard one because it's out of your control, You can be very good at what you do, and even the best guys still get they have their bad days.
Of the products you sell, would you say that not only is AdWords the largest percentage of what you actually have for clients, is that also your primary lead with people just because it gets results fast and it's easier to get someone to pay to get something pretty much, as soon as it's set up? Is that the primary thing you lead with, or are you finding that leading with some of these other products is a better foot in the door?
So AdWords is probably the best foot in the door, but it depends. It depends on the type of client as well. Yeah.
But in the 80-20 situation,
Yeah, AdWords.
is for sure probably the best.
You're selling the result, you're not selling AdWords.
Yeah, that's a very important point. I never really mention the product name. It's more like, the results. So, and they also have to have search volume. So people have to be searching for the stuff. And how you do that is everyone familiar with the Google keyword tool or the keyword planner? So you can just type it in there, and just as long as people are searching, it's a good sign.
Is there a cutoff you look for? I mean, like let's say that they're selling something that's like a $5,000 product, and there's like 10 to 20 searches a month for that. Is that enough search volume for a product like that, where maybe they'll only get one job or maybe two tops out of that search volume? Is that like, what's kind of your cutoff for how you decide if there's enough volume in the market?
So it would be if enough people are searching. So that would be generally in the ones in the markets I look at, it's more than 100.
Okay, so 100 is about the cutoff.
But if it was I know there'd be some markets out there that only have 50 and that they're really high ticket, and so I don't want that rule to cut that off. But
50 per month, 100 per month. Is that what you mean?
yeah, at least. So like, I'm not very picky with my rules to get, because this, remember, is just a rule to see if we should market to someone, right?
Right.
And we don't want to be too obsessed about these rules, because it's just a little gate, in the funnel. And you can, if you find out on a qualification call that person's not a right fit, it's very easy to just get them out, So you don't need to be too obsessed about the rules. I know a lot of people are real obsessed about the rules because they can't, it takes them like 30 minutes per lead. And that's, it should only take you like an hour per customer, not 30 minutes per lead. Yeah.
How do you set expectations properly about what's realistic?
With what?
With this. Like you said, going from page 5 to page 1 is totally doable, but if it's competitive, rank 3 to 1 is really hard.
Yes, I always ask SEO guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you rely on the contractor.
Yeah, I'm like, what can we do here? And then I just generally stretch his a little bit. But yeah, with SEO, I'm very careful with what I say. With AdWords, I can be a lot more, confident, because I've learned quite a bit about AdWords now, and I know you can have an ad up quite fast, unlike SEO. So does this all make sense, the segment? So pretty much the same stuff, it's just we're adding a couple extra on, right? And then what we do for our SEO clients. So what I say to a client is, the foundation of any successful SEO strategy is, first of all, determining what keywords we should rank for. There's no point building links, optimizing pages, and creating content if we don't know what for. That is step one, and that's the most important thing that you can possibly do. And to do that, I say that I use 3 different ways. So the first one is that I'll look at the local market and see who's winning. And a lot of the time, there's a guy I'm like, do you have any competitors that are really killing it with online stuff? And a lot of these guys are like, oh yeah, this guy, I don't know what he's doing, but I know it's working really well or something. And I just write those ones down, and then that's a really good place to have a look at, because you can see what they're doing. And you can see what keywords they're going for, and you can see what they're doing online. And if someone's been actively spending on AdWords, so we've got this high-end building client who does like high-end kitchens and bathrooms and extensions to homes, so not your normal sort of builder. And I was mind blown. I was like, man, how are we going to create a campaign for this thing? I was like, what? There's so many different keywords, because he was listing off, but then we'll do decks also, but we'll also do, and he pretty much listed off every item in a house by the end of it. And I was like, because that's what guys do. They don't want to miss out on any business, right? And I was like, gee, how are we going to work this one out? And then I thought, well, what about your competition? And he told me the name of a company that was doing it. And I used some spy tools, like, have you looked at espionage and all those other ones? Plug the competitors into there. And if they've been running an ad for longer than like 200 days, you know you've got an ad.
That's espionage, right?
Yeah.
Espionage.com.
Yeah. So a real good place to start when you're completely baffled is to look at someone who's doing well. And if there isn't someone doing well in the local market, there'll be someone doing well in the international market. So if I can't find someone in Auckland, which is my home city, then if I can't find someone in New Zealand, then I'll just go to Australia. If there's no one in Australia, I'll look in America, and I'll find someone that's cracked it in this particular niche somewhere in the world, and that's a really good strategy to copy because they've figured it out. They know these keywords work, and they know that these sort of channels work.
That's also a good strategy with AdWords, obviously, and SEO, but also with writing copy for websites. I'll usually pull up like competitors and try to find one that has a good benefit-driven copy, and then we just go off of that, and it's so much easier. And sometimes it's like right away, but sometimes like I do searches all over America, like New York or whatever, go through 20 websites, and I'll find one that has great copy, and then generally they're going to have good landing pages, they're going to have good ads, good ads.
It's a good strategy for pretty much everything in the world, you know? Find who's the best and just copy them. It's a really good strategy. I hardly ever start with a blank page, like ever. Even if I write a video, for a video script, I just like get someone's video who I know they've done like a really good, successful launch, and I download it, and then I send it to a transcriber, and they transcribe the whole thing because it's like 15,000 words sometimes. And then I just break it out, and I swap out, their words for mine, and like change it around. And they're not going to care because you're selling something completely different. It's not like they're going to care. If you're going to sell something identical, I mean, they would really care. But copying it's a really good strategy. So what I say is, with keyword research, it's the foundation for any successful SEO campaign. We start by looking at the competition, who's doing really well. If we can't find someone here, we'll look international. We'll find someone, we'll see what they're doing, spy on them. And the business owners love hearing that stuff because they know that's a smart move. They know they're not pioneering new ground, with their ad spend budget or with their SEO budget. We're going to look for something that's worked. And it's that, and it's a combination of using the keyword tool and having a look at all of those numbers. And then from that, we can determine the keyword strategy. So we basically want to come up with 3 to about 15 keywords. And then the next piece I say to them is, once we've determined that, then everything we do for SEO is going to be based around that. That's why it's the foundation. That's why it's so important. So then we're going to optimize your website. So we're going to make sure that you have these pages for these different keywords. So if custom kitchen renovations is a good keyword, then we should probably have a page on custom kitchen renovations. And then we make custom kitchen renovations in the URL, so it will be the yourcompanyname.com/that, then that should be the title of the page. That's what the wording on the page should be about, and that keyword should be mentioned, a few times. And then we should ideally have like an image there to do with that as well, and there should be a call to action. And if possible, a testimonial about that particular service as well. And we'd build out one of those for each one. And then I would say we also want to create content. So I tell them that another key piece of SEO is creating content. And what we do is, I say this is what makes us really different from the competition. Besides doing a whole bunch of work on keyword research and following copying market leaders, we also optimize the website, but then we also go beyond what everyone else does. Most people out there just build links. And what we do is we hire an article writer, someone that has some sort of industry knowledge in your particular industry. If it's building, then they have some knowledge in the building industry. And then we brief them to write on the topics that your keyword research has turned up. So if we've found that it's custom kitchens and custom bathrooms and home extensions, then those are the 3 topics that every sort of blog post has to be around. And we say that, with that, you're creating content that is useful because it's going to help you optimize for that particular keyword. And you don't have to do anything because, I'm sure you've tried to write a blog post before. That's what I always tell them, and you know how hard it is. And I also say that, your competition have probably tried blogging and just blogged about someone's new car or, a seagull or something. That's, most people blog about useless stuff. And we say, we do it right for you, and we'll make sure it's done on a good schedule, and it's just completely hands-off. And then beyond all of that, we do the link building part, and that's around building links to your site that are around those keywords so that Google sees your site as an authority. Any questions at the moment? Cool. So that explanation on SEO was brief, but that is pretty much the extent of my knowledge on SEO. I honestly don't know more than that. So I've basically broken it down to you really need to have a keyword strategy, and the way to get it is to look at who's a market leader. Copy that. Once that's defined, on-page optimization, also content creation, as well as link building. And that's enough to sell it. And that is a good SEO strategy. I'm confident of that, because I've talked to my SEO guy, and he said, I can't believe I didn't think of doing the blog post part as well, or really doing that much research in the start. He was just focused on link building. So it is definitely a good SEO strategy. The link building part still bewilders me. And that's why it's really important to have someone that's good at that, because I wouldn't know how to do that.
Do you use the same SEO guy that you have in the list of contacts?
So I've only recently changed to someone like in-house, just because the volume's gotten really high.
In-house employee?
No, so how it worked is, because one of the big changes I had in my business was not looking at every dollar the same, right? And so I thought it'd be less stress on me if I paid more for the people to do this sort of work than just worry about the margin, because then I could just add a whole bunch more, So that was kind of my thinking, and then I went on a hunt to find someone really good at SEO in New Zealand. Yeah. So I found a guy that had an SEO company in New Zealand, and he was it's real easy to find guys that are good at SEO because they're ranking on page 1 for SEO. It's like a competition between them. It's like a useless keyword. Like they even say it. It's a useless keyword. It's just an ego thing between SEO guys in a local country. And so I found one of the top 3 and basically convinced him to work with me. Yeah. So it's still on a contract basis, so per client. And on SEO, he pretty much gets 50%. Now, he would have taken about 100 unless I had explained to him the benefits to working with me, which an SEO guy technically hates. In 1 month, I could bring him more business than he could get in a year, right? Because I know how to market and sell, and I have like a system and process to do that. And also, a whole bunch of his time was wasted before going to client meetings, and he couldn't talk to people properly. He didn't have like the best communication. He would have he wasn't a salesman, right? But he still was able to build a 6-figure business doing it. And I basically, I went on a hunt for him, found him, and then got him under contract so that he can only work for me and not any other competitor. So I still have to pay him a lot. Eventually, he'll end up being quite wealthy. Yeah, and he would have. So his prices were high. His prices were about. So what I did for pricing is I took his prices, made them about 15% more expensive, and then negotiated with him to pay him 50% of what his old ones were. Yeah, that was basically my formula. And he was happy with that because business just comes to him now. He's not the one that has to talk to clients and all of that stuff. Yeah. So I would recommend starting with contractors the way I was doing it. But when things get bigger, you need to start hunting for some guys,
Do you do the keyword research yourself, or is that your guy doing it?
So I will look at the competition always myself. But as for looking at the numbers and all of that stuff inside the keyword tool, that's the contractor. Yeah.
What are some examples of links that are built? I know you said you don't want to know, I'm just curious. Some general links that you want to actually go through.
Sure. So I know a bit about it now. So, for example, we've got lots of plumbing ones. So we've he's purchased some blogs that used to be that are in the plumbing industry. It's weird. These are for sale all the time. This is going into probably a D grade SEO explanation now. So this is probably not the best content, because this is my guess of what it is, and it's probably wrong. So, but I think he's purchased some properties. He owns a whole bunch of different blogs and things, and he's able to link between them. I think he also rents links off other guys that have authoritative sites. Yeah. If you really want to learn about this, I'd recommend using these knowledgeable sources instead of myself. Resources are here if you want to learn more. Now, I had an exercise for you to do just when it comes to SEO, what we just discussed, just put in here, make a commitment to, if you need to learn more, what is it, and then where are you going to find out more about that, and then set yourself a date to become confident in talking about this. When I say expert, I mean all you need to do is get to my level, and a lot of you might be there or well beyond, but that's the only level you need to be at to sell the stuff. You saw as soon as someone asked me, how do you build links? Well, I don't really know. But that doesn't matter. If you can just outline a best practice and you're confident that you can do that and you're confident that's going to get results, that's enough.
Is there a resource you would recommend, or anybody else would recommend for becoming educated on this topic in SEO?
Yeah, so these ones I had up before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you email me in the Facebook group, I'll send you some good videos I've gotten from some top SEOs for doing client SEO.
Oh, great.
And they'll go more into detail about the links and stuff like that. So,
should that be really useful? What's your
I'm in the Facebook, Craig Dixon. I'm Craig. So yeah.
Maybe you just post then, and then everyone will know. Yeah.
But again, you don't need it to sell, so.
Yeah, don't get caught in the rabbit holes of these different things. Like, otherwise you'll end up getting hired by someone like me. Because that's what's happened to my contractors. They're the ones that have gone like deep down this rabbit hole, done every SEO course, read everything you could possibly. My guy's done SEO since SEO was a thing. You know, and he's been battling the top other SEO guy, and they've got like a hidden grudge against each other. Like, and you know, he's the best, he's probably the best or the second best in New Zealand at SEO. And because he's overcomplicated everything and he doesn't know how to market and sell, like now he's just decided to contract me, you know? So it's not important to become an expert in it. Like when Rockefeller, like the money in the world comes to people that like see an opportunity and then get experts and gather them together and then use the experts to grab the opportunity for them. With Rockefeller, when he spotted the opportunity for oil, he didn't start doing courses on how to drill into rocks and how to do all of this and that, and then he didn't go out there and start drilling himself. He saw the opportunity and he got experts, and he had really good ones, and that's how he did it. And this is the same sort of strategy. There's a massive opportunity to sell SEO and AdWords and these things to businesses that are doing over $1 million. And to take that opportunity, you want to use the experts that already exist instead of becoming one yourself. So when I say expert, I mean just at a level where you're confident enough to sell it. Yeah. And then put a date in there, like hold yourself accountable, put a date in there when you're going to be clued up on this topic.
You said you pay your SEO guy 50% of what you do.
Pardon?
Sir, 50% contract. Yeah, 50% of, if you're doing SEO, AdWords, Facebook, and content, you pay him 50% of that contract?
50% of just the SEO piece.
And how much is that of a $5,000 contract?
So, you mean $5,000 between all the different products?
If you're doing a $5,000 retainer, how much of that is SEO?
So this is one from the blueprint thing. There we go. Yeah. That was supposed to be in the presentation.
What's the GST per month?
Oh yeah, forget that. That's just sales tax in New Zealand.
Okay.
Goods and service tax. So,
what if there's only 5 keywords? I mean, do you ever break outside of that? I mean, you got like 3, 6, 10. I mean, what if they have like some weird number, like 17 keywords? I mean, like, what do you do in those situations?
I'd probably just ask the contractor,
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are really based off of what your contractor does. This is how he packages it.
This is what he used to sell it for as well. So I took his base prices, this is how I figured it out. I took his base prices, made them about 12% more expensive, and then negotiated to pay him 50% of what they used to be. Yeah. But he's happier as a person doing it this way. He just does what he likes, Focus. He just likes building links and doing SEO. He doesn't like selling, marketing. He doesn't like having to talk to people and do that sort of stuff. He just likes doing this. And there is, like I said, with money, it's just not face value. There's a cost to acquire a customer, right? And a lot of the time, that's a big chunk of the money. Airlines often are willing to pay more money to acquire the customer than what they make. So if you have a lead gen site, then for like an airline, you can often make more money just by getting them a customer through a couple of clicks than they make flying someone across the world in an aeroplane. That's how ridiculous it is.
Now, how do you report on these things? What's the reporting structure that you use?
So the cool thing about it is each guy has, because they've been experts, they've got their own reports. So they all send me their reports. And they use I know they use software to pull their reports. But in there because we've got, we can only do an hour a topic.
Okay.
We can't go too detailed on everything, so.
Well, I guess my only question is there anything you add on top of what they send you for a report? Like
not really.
No. Okay.
No. Often they send too much, so I cut it down.
Okay.
And do you label it as your own?
Yeah.
Does your guy has his own team, or is he one?
Yes, so he's got his own team that are overseas somewhere. Yeah.
How often do you do the reports?
Monthly.
You do it at the end of the month, basically.
Yeah.
And do you ever, like, how often do you get on the phone with the client, like, ever? Once they're signed up for a monthly thing?
So,
Are there ever touch points?
yeah, I would say on average it would probably be every 2 months. If I was doing a better, if I was going to do an ideal job, it would be at least once a month. But, you know, I've been doing so many things, I wish I did once a month, yeah.
And what would you do on that call, ideally?
Just ask them how it's going, and yeah, just say, like, you know, did you get the report? Do you want me to talk you through a couple of the points? How's business been going for you? Yeah.
Ask for referrals.
Good point.
Yeah, I haven't done that when I'm giving them the report, but you could do that.
Which of these packages are most popular?
Pardon?
Which among these packages are the most popular?
Most popular?
Say expand.
This isn't fact-based, but if I had to guess, it would be 6. Yeah.
How many blog posts per week or a month?
Just one a week.
1 week.
Is that included in this?
Yeah.
Sorry, so what's total, for example, 3 keywords, what's totally included? The blog post, 1 week? I'm just trying to figure out what the total package is.
So what do they get for 3 keywords?
Oh, so we'd only optimize for 3 keywords.
Okay, do they get 1 blog post per keyword or just 1?
No. It's just 1 a week.
Okay.
Some it changes, you know, like.
1 of the 3 keywords?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So only 1 blog post a week. So the max someone gets is 4, you know.
And do they get like a link a month or?
I don't know how the links business works, but he does. This is based around the links, this pricing. So to optimize and grow links for more keywords, the price increases, right? So it's more, I don't think it's to do with links. It's more to do with how many keywords. That's how SEO is generally priced. Because most of the work here, I would say, is in the links. Because if I did all of the other stuff with the other contractors without him link building, like, you know, if we look back to that pie chart, links is the biggest chunk out of everything. Yeah.
Is he supplying the blog posts, or do you find it somewhere?
No, I get an article writer to do the blog posts, yeah.
So when you're paying him half, you also have to pay an article writer outside of the half that you're doing there, so your profit margin is less than 50% then?
So, yeah, like a little bit less, but to do the article writing, it's like $10. Yeah.
But you also said it was up 10%, so basically the fact that you priced it 10% and then half, you basically kind of take that 10% to pay a blog.
I roughly make 50%. Like, it's not, you know, there might be a small difference in there, but it's pretty much 50, yeah. And I know with AdWords it's 70.
How long are the blog articles usually? 500 words?
I think, yeah, they're around 500 words, yeah.
So you have 2 contractors per client, one for the SEO stuff and one for content writing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Do you pay the SEO or the article writer to optimize to the on-page content if it needs to be developed when they make pages?
The on-page content. So that would be the SEO guy. Yeah.
The SEO guy writes the content for the page, but you have a different person write the articles.
Yes.
Okay. Why is that not the same person?
Because he wouldn't do that. Like, he's... that's a real pain in the ass job, you know, and you've got to be a certain type of person to write posts like that. Most people can't write blog posts like that. It's a lot of writing.
How do you find the article writer for that?
Pardon?
How do you find the article writer or the blog post writer for that niche that you're targeting?
So there's a website called Zeries. Does anyone... just try Zeris. Has anyone heard of that? No. So I would typically use the old contractor for a small client, but if you want someone, if you're going to do a really good job, then you'd use Xeris. Xeris takes a little bit more time.
How do you spell it?
Zeris. Is that coming up with anything?
Yep. C writers. Why does it take more time?
Because you're kind of like, they do more research per post and things. You've got to kind of create an ad to hire them, and yeah.
How much does it cost?
So I always pay 10 to 15 an article.
Okay. You like buying a bulk thing?
What do you mean? Oh, well, we negotiate per month, right?
So now,
Are they US based?
Most of the time, yeah. Cool, so everyone done that exercise? Because I said, like, you know, in my business there's a guy that's one of the sales rep. He's really good at selling. His mindset's obviously good because he has absolutely no problem with selling. But isn't skilled on the product front, and it makes a big difference. So I've kind of ignored it before, and said you can make up for, you know, everything with marketing and sales. But I truly believe you should be up to date with these things that we've put in the wealth index. So at the beginning, you know, we had all the mindset stuff, then we had the product stuff, then the marketing and the sales stuff. So I want to try and pull everything right up. So the next one is AdWords. So who doesn't know what AdWords is? Good. So I'll do a one-sentence explanation. It's just, if you search, you know, SEO is the organic stuff that comes up. AdWords is the paid stuff that comes up, the stuff up the top. So an overview of what we'll cover for AdWords, just like SEO, what it is, the segment of the market that's the best fit, what we include in our AdWords packages for clients, and how we price and package it, and some additional resources. So just the same as the other one. So what it is, we all know what AdWords is, and how it works very quickly is someone would just search for keywords. So you know, it's very easy to think about, because you can just imagine someone. If someone, let's say a kid kicks a football through your window in your house. You have a broken window. You have a problem, so you need your glass repaired. So you think of the problem, and then you think, what keyword would someone search for if they had a problem? Well, they would search for glass repair in a local area, right? So that's what happens. Something happens to someone, they have pain, they have a problem, and then they search for a keyword. And then the results come up, and they'll either click on the organic results, or they'll click on the paid results. The paid results is AdWords. And then when they click on that, they'll go to the website or the landing page, and on that page they will skim it, and they'll think to themselves, can this person or company solve my problem, and is it a good fit? And if they are, they will call and then buy, or they'll fill out a form, either one of those things. And that's what I mean by convert. If they don't, they'll just hit back and keep looking for someone else, and that's bounce. So that's you know, as basic as explaining AdWords can get. Now, just like SEO, that's why I said these two things are so close together. Just like SEO, the foundation for an AdWords campaign is the keywords. And the keywords are generally identical to SEO. They don't change. And that's why if you're doing someone's AdWords, you should also do the SEO, because they're so tight together. Now, if you're doing both, the beauty of it is that you're getting more money, but for not that much more work, right? Because the keyword research is all the same, and the landing pages are all the same. It's a lot you get to save on the work. So I explain how I sell it to. I'll go over that in the next one. So it's very similar to SEO. The foundation is the keywords. use the Google keyword tool, and then look at market leaders and best practices. So there's a market leader in every market, and if they look in the local one first, then go nationwide, and then try international if you can't find anything. Look for someone that's doing well to copy. And then just like SEO, you should define 5 to 10, 15 keywords. Does this make sense? Pretty much identical. So once you've got that worked out, what Google uses to work out how to show your ad is something called a quality score. Now, the beauty of this is that if you've done the SEO and everything, it makes the quality score better and it comes up really high. So Google uses these things to work out like the quality score. I'll ignore some of them, I'll just use the main ones. So the landing page relevance is a big one. So if the keyword is glass repair Miami, and the landing page title says glass repair Miami, and the ad says glass repair Miami, that's a high quality score because it's relevant. But if the landing page says pet food in Boston, then it's not a high quality score. Do you get what I mean? And then the keyword relevancy, the ad copy relevance. So if the ad is says glass repair Miami, the keyword is glass repair Miami, and then the landing page is glass repair Miami, it's like a straight line goes through the mall. That really helps build quality score. And that's the sort of algorithm that Google uses to work out how high to show your ad or not. It does take into account bid, but quality score is the main thing. And how you get a really high quality score is by doing the job properly, which is doing the research, breaking it out, and then having different ads and different landing pages and different keywords. How a lot of people do it, then the wrong way to do it, is to guess at the keywords and then have one ad for all the keywords and then point everyone to the homepage. That's what most people do. I've seen 10 grand a month ads being spent like that for 3 years. Yeah. How good is it to be Google?
If someone's been doing that for 3 years, is it possible to get a false positive and espionage for someone who's been writing an ad for a long time that it could have been a situation like that where they set it up?
But here's the weird thing, it was still delivering them business, It just could have been delivering them a whole lot more. That's how powerful AdWords is. And the beauty of it in the markets that we serve is that it's not as competitive. See, if I do AdWords for let's say we're going to do it for the CRM market, well, that's going to be a fun one. There's been every CRM provider has probably had a team of 10 of the best AdWords guys in the world on that for about 10 years. And they've optimized the hell out of everything and split tested everything. If you come in, forget it. It's, you're not going to be able to do anything there. But if you use another business, someone that hasn't done AdWords or someone that hasn't been doing it very well, that's a good opportunity.
What question can you ask to gauge that? Should I ask him phone hey, what's your click-through rate or something like that?
Well, the easiest way to do it is click on their ads. Search, see if the different ads come up. If you find a prospect and if you want to look at their ads, if they're doing AdWords, and you want to see if they're doing it right or wrong, try different keywords, see if the same ad serves for every different keyword. That's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is if you click on the different ads and they all drop you on the home page. So quality score is the big thing with Google because that determines whether they show your ad or not. Yeah. And how you act, the beauty of this is how you get it is actually just by doing what we did with SEO already.
What's the vertical quality score tax with the star there on the left, bottom left?
I don't even know what that is.
If your quality score is lower, you pay more per click.
Oh, do you?
So if your quality score is really good, you pay less.
Oh, okay.
So if your quality score sucks and you're spending $10,000 a month, you could theoretically change that around and spend, you get double the clicks for the same price.
Yeah, so I thought that, so that's similar to bidding then. If your click-through rate is, say, 50% and a competitor's click-through rate is 20, and they bid more than you per click, you'll still get favored over them, because the way Google pretty much works is whatever gets them the most money. That's pretty much how it works.
They wanted to give people what they want.
Yeah,
That's how quality score works.
Yeah, that's how you determine quality score.
Yeah, but like clicks and stuff is, at the end of the day, like they have to serve the advertiser and the other person, right? The other person is served when they get connected to the right stuff, and a conversion happens when they get connected to the right stuff. And if they get a conversion, then the bidding price goes higher because people are converting. Does that make sense? So it's like if you run an ad, and it's like Facebook ads when they started, they were cheap. The average click price was cheap. Then advertisers measured their return, right? And then so they then start bidding more and more, and others work out the return, and then that's how the prices get driven up. So quality score is a factor, but also bidding is a factor, and click-through rate.
But with a high quality score, you can bid less to get those number one, to get that first spot, and your clicks cost you less.
Yeah, they look at quality score first.
Click-through rate is the number one metric in quality score. So they want to show the most relevant ads, and so whatever ads are getting clicked on the most is the most relevant. So they go by that, but then the landing page ties in. That's what quality score comes with the landing page, is that it has a relevant landing page. So they don't want you clicking and then going to like the wrong thing.
Well, if you have a good quality score, then your click-through rate will be good, right? Like they're all tied together. Because if you search for glass repair Miami and the ad says just glass repair something else, your click-through rate's going to be not existent. So the more relevant the ad is, the higher the click-through rate. Yeah. So it all kind of ties together. Like that's the beauty of the SEO and AdWords together. Like if you do the keyword research and then you determine the best ones, you build the landing pages, and you do it properly, you win in everything. Like your SEO is good, your pages are good, your quality score is good, your click-through rate's good, and that's why it's powerful to have them both together.
Do you get your SEO guy to do the keyword research for you that you then use for AdWords, or other way around?
So if we're just doing AdWords, I would do it myself and get the AdWords guy to look at it. But if we were doing them both together, I would just it would just be the same thing, Yeah. I quite like looking at overseas markets and things like that. So I generally look at the spy tools and things and look at other keywords. Because it also really helps me close the deal. A lot of the time I'll pull the laptop out and pull up the spy tool in the consultation. Because people like to see that stuff. So it's what helps get the deal across the line as well.
What's the name of this microphone?
And then espionage.
Is that an Apple product?
Huh?
Is that an Apple product?
So does that make sense? Cool. It's hard to do like AdWords in an hour, right? And then after someone clicks, they go to like a landing page, which is what we were talking about before. And what makes a good landing page is just basic copywriting principles. It should have, you should remove the navigation from the header, and the URL should be, the same. Then it should have a headline that's similar to the keyword someone searched for, and then it's similar to the ad. So you always, if the headline in the ad is, you should generally, as a best practice, the headline should be pretty much identical to the headline in the ad, because people don't want surprises. If someone clicks on something and they land on something else, they're like angry. And it's good if they click on something and they see the same thing. So even when I split test Facebook ads for my own sort of stuff, because Facebook ads have an image, if you have that image on the landing page, the conversion's always higher because they feel like they're in the same sort of thing. So basic elements it should have is just, headline, some benefits, and remove the navigation, should tie to the ad and the keywords, and a call to action. And the call to action differs on the company and what they actually sell.
Is the logo linked to their homepage?
Generally, I think it is, yeah.
And then why is there a client login, or is that just, that's usually you wouldn't put that up there, right?
So this is just a random example, yeah. So if the company doesn't have a client login, there wouldn't be a client login, yeah.
Even then, your client wouldn't log in through a
Do you
landing
put the
page.
phone number on there often? So that they ring, you put your...
It depends on the company. So, like, we've got a client that does juice cleansers. So, like, they sell these delivered juice cleanse things. And I asked them, like, do you want phone calls? And they're like, no. Like, they are doing so well through pay-per-click and their conversion rates are so good, they don't even want to possibly increase the conversion rate more for the cost of having support calls come through, So it depends on the client. For example, with glass repair, any emergency thing, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you don't have a phone number. No one's going to fill out a form when a pipe's pissing water out over their floor, Like, they're going to wait for someone to get that and respond. Might take a week.
5 and one sort of phone, would you shut down would you hide the phone number after 5?
I wouldn't even think about that. That's too much thinking.
Well, if it's an emergency industry, they probably have somebody to man the phone.
Even if they don't, I'd still just leave it there because it's too much work.
So you talked about the keyword and relevance. So do you just change the keyword for each different page?
Yeah, when I say sometimes we build 100 landing pages, they're pretty much identical. The only things that change is the URL, the headline, and then the description a little bit. That's about it. Yeah.
And you build this page with endowments or what?
It's just built on WordPress. So, yeah, same thing as the website. Yeah.
What if they don't have a website?
Or what have we run into with that before? So the developer would typically just build it on the platform that they've got. So we've had to use some ugly ones.
Why don't you use Endels for all those landing pages?
Because of SEO. Because most of the time I'm taking both. And this is what we were saying before. Like, an unbounced page has no SEO benefit. You know what I mean? We're killing two birds with one stone doing this. So I'll show you some examples. I'll pull some up on my browser over lunch, and then after lunch show you some real client sites to show you what it is. But when you build a landing page so for example, we built a landing page that says Plumbers Auckland for this particular plumbing company. And it was for AdWords, but in about a month that started ranking #1 in Google for Plumbers Auckland. So for organic as well. So that's the beauty of doing it properly.
I was talking to a guy, and he has a very strong suspicion that AdWords and SEO is sort of tied. Like, Google hasn't really talked about it, but he says he's run some experiments where the moment he starts running AdWords, suddenly his SEO starts doing better than it would.
Well, a lot of it, traffic is an element in the equation too for algorithms. If a site gets a lot of traffic, it's a sign that it's doing well. And AdWords directs traffic,
So the Plumbers Auckland one you just said, where you have a landing page and SEO, was it a landing page kind of like this, or it had more content on it?
So I'd never build a landing page this beautiful. I just used it as an example. I'll pull it up after lunch and show you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And how many keywords? One for each keyword. So if you have 5 keywords, 5 landing pages.
Yeah.
And you just duplicate them and just change the headline maybe and a few things.
Although, actually, so with SEO, like, you don't have as many keywords as you do with AdWords, right? You're going for the real big winners. But with AdWords, you can kind of test a whole bunch. So that's why often with AdWords we might have 100 landing pages. But what we're optimizing with SEO is only really 5 keywords. Does that make sense? Because with AdWords you want to test kind of everything because you can scale it out real quick. But no one's going to pay to SEO 150 keywords. Yeah. But the beauty of doing it with AdWords is that those pages often are so low competitive and they get lifted like with the ranking of the site on the main ones anyway, that those small pages start to rank as well. Yeah.
And it also makes your site thicker or more.
Yeah. Like this strategy really works well for these companies.
Do you offer any landing page optimization over time, or you don't change the page at all?
Like it's just, you've got to think of from where these guys have come, you know? Like if someone's not doing it and you do this, it's like a miracle. And if someone goes from having no keyword strategy or research, having one ad and pointing traffic to the homepage, to having this, it's more than enough. Like even when I do my own launches, like I don't even split test that many things. Like the big impact stuff is like what you want to focus on, you know? That's the stuff that, what I was saying is if you're doing AdWords for the CRM market, that's when you'd get into this stuff. So they'd be testing button colors, headlines, images, page load speeds, because that's the only area left for optimization. But with this, it's just, you know, there's a whole lot more. So we don't have a single client that we split test their landing pages. And we don't need to.
Who did you learn these strategies from? Is it just your contractors or?
So, well, it's funny actually. So I snapped my key in a lock at my apartment, and I need to call a locksmith, and I called him through AdWords, and I started asking him questions, and he told me how his business had grown. Like he went from 1 guy to 10, and he was telling me all about it, and I started looking at his AdWords thing, and I asked who his AdWords guy was. And then I asked him how much money he thought his AdWords guy was making, and he said probably not that much. And I was like, well, I want to hire this guy. And so that's my AdWords contractor, and that's the strategy he used to optimize that guy is now what I'm teaching you guys and what I've applied to everyone else. So that's how it happened. Because that was his strategy. He was like, it's real simple. All I do is I do this research, I find out their keywords, I build out all the landing pages, and it was, I saw it firsthand. This guy's phone was ringing like crazy. And he was like, I'll be there in 30 minutes. And I was like, no, you won't, you just got here. Like, you know, he was like, his business was exploding. And that's what got me down this path of looking into it. And then I found out how much money there was in this by looking at the other guys that were making a lot. Yeah.
So is that typically what any AdWords contract would do, is the creation of these landing pages as part of what they do?
If they were good.
Most of them just do AdWords and they just send it. You need to tell them, the ones I've worked with, you have to tell them where to send it. That's the thing, they don't have this like strategy.
Well, I know Yellow Pages will... Yellow Pages is starting to get into some of this stuff.
But one landing page.
Yeah, but rough. But like the company that's making the most money in New Zealand, the guys that are making... I know because my sales guy came from that company, and they're just a sales-oriented business. They got a phone floor, automated dialers, and everything. And they used to sell an online directory, which is just doesn't work. Like everyone knows that. And then now they're moving into AdWords and things, and they're probably the market leader. And they would make, you know, they'd make definitely more than 80 million a year. Yeah, close to 100 million, I'd say. And they're ruthless. Like they're very bad with what they do. So they they don't do the research. They point the AdWords to your homepage, and they don't really optimize anything. Yeah.
So what's the plan? Let's just say that they start doing that, like in a year. I mean, again, that's obviously down the
They
road.
can't. Like,
They can't do that one now.
so the problem is that, like, they're hooked on the margins that they first got from selling the directory business, which was pretty much 100%, because they just put them in their own directory, and now they've moved to add, Yellow Pages was hooked on that. And now they've moved into this, and to really get the high margins, they have to do a quick job. So you can take that business, I mean, you can still make a lot, but not as much as that, like, unless you build it properly and layer the business and hire the staff, right? So to take this, doing the proper strategy to 100 million a year, which is what I plan to do, you're going to need to build a lot of stuff, right?
So you think you can scale a $100 million business doing this?
So I think there'd be software before that would happen. So where you would build software that would help you do a lot of this work. So like the landing pages, then the campaigns and things like that.
Sam, you said that you target 5 to 10 keywords. So how come you have 100 landing pages?
So does anyone else not get that? Cool. All right. So with SEO, you focus a lot on the keywords. So you're just trying to find the main ones. But with AdWords, you're kind of going after every variant of every different keyword. So like if a keyword would be plumbers Auckland for a plumber, within Auckland there's like, I don't know how many suburbs, but there's at least 50 suburbs, right? So in AdWords you might have 50 different variants of plumbers Auckland. So you would have plumbers Auckland would be one, but then you'd have plumbers Herne Bay, which are the suburbs, plumbers plumbers St Heliers, all the way through the suburbs. And then you have the different landing, because you take it to another level. Yeah.
High spin.
Yeah.
Water heaters.
Does that make sense? And because for SEO, I said you could optimize for all of those different things, but it'd cost you a fortune. The way SEO works is you focus more on like the parents of all the little variants that you would do in AdWords.
In AdWords, you're only writing with 3 lines. So to write 100 of 3 lines is much easier than in SEO to write a full blog post or full article 100 different times and optimize it and everything. So that's why in AdWords, you can write the 3 lines for that exact term, and in SEO, the variants your page is going to rank for anyways because no one else is going after them. So you don't worry about all the little variants that get a small amount of traffic because you're going to have a page that ranks for it anyways. With AdWords, you want to have an exact match ad.
Yeah.
So is it your contractor that finds the 100 keywords?
So yeah, the AdWords guy would do all of that.
So it sounds like how much the contractor will do can vary. What's the set that you should expect or demand?
So 100's really a lot, that's a lot of work. So I would say on average 10's more than enough, So we only go out to 100 on the big ones.
Okay. But so they do the research, they pick the 10 keywords. Do they always build the landing pages, or like what should you expect there?
So in the past, with the old contractors and stuff, they wouldn't build the landing pages for you. So I think you've got to be flexible here. Like, I think you might need to use a WordPress developer to build the landing pages if your AdWords contractor isn't willing to do it. Like, it's a bit rough in the beginning with how messy it all is and using so many contractors and stuff, but it's definitely the safest way to start, because if you go and do it the way I'm doing it now off the bat, I mean, you've got a lot of overhead, and I don't think you'd be able to sell the guys either, because you need to have the clients, you need to have the skills and stuff.
But if you're building 10 landing page variations, are you doing the copy for all 10? Because the WordPress developers aren't going to do that, right?
So, well, with the copy they should be able to do it. Like, we're talking a sentence here. Like, I'll show you some after lunch. I'll show you some real ones, and I think you'll be amazed at how bad looking and shit they are. Yeah. But like they work. It's all it needs.
Sam, not having done this, if we were going to flowchart this really briefly, and we started from the day you signed that contract, the next step is to talk to. I'm just trying to figure out all the different stakeholders and key players in your process to roll this out with 50 or 100 landing pages for AdWords and working your SEO. Maybe we can talk about it at lunch, but I'm just trying to figure out in my mind how that flowchart would look.
Is it the whole retainer?
Yeah, exactly. It just seems quite complex in terms of all the different folks that have got to be involved in this.
Yeah. So I've got it quite good right now, and it's just 2 contractors that are both like local now that I'm eventually going to move into the office. Yeah. But in the past, it's been quite a lot. But at the most, you need an SEO guy for SEO, an AdWords guy for AdWords, and then you need someone that knows how to do sites, right? Which is WordPress. That's basically it. The only way I've been able to make it a bit more simple is because the AdWords guy also does the landing pages now. Yeah. But if we were going to do their site, I'd still have to use the site person, yeah.
Do you have like onboarding checklists that you're going to share in the new course?
Yeah. So we've only got like 1 hour per topic here. So that's why at the end of each one I give additional resources plus the blueprint course as well. Yeah. So after the landing page, they convert or bounce. So on that landing page, they make a decision to buy or not buy or call or not call. And these are the different factors that play in that. One is the quality of traffic. So for example, if the keyword that you target with AdWords determines the quality of the traffic. So if you just, let's say you're a plumbing business, and the keyword you target with your AdWords campaign is plumbing. That's it. Well, man, you're going to get some low-quality traffic there. You might get some kindergarten students that need to do a project on plumbers. That they're going to search for that word, A lot of people search for that word. It doesn't mean that they're buyers. So quality of traffic is a big factor in the conversion process. And that's found with the keyword. Then relevance of the ad to landing page, that's what we were talking about before. That's like the quality score again. It's how does the ad tie to the landing page and does the keyword tie to all of that? And quality of the landing page, so the headline, benefit, call to action. And then the final one is the only way you actually, so it's not really a factor, but it's the only way that you know if someone converts or not. And that's the use of tracking and metrics to optimize. And that is what I'm going to talk about now. So this is the 2 I use. So Google Analytics and then Dalicon as the call tracking thing. I owe this company a lot of money. Yeah. I said this company's helped me make a lot of money. This is like probably one of the best selling points I've got for AdWords. Yeah.
I use them too.
Oh, you already use them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't they give you commission too, don't they?
What do you mean?
You can sign up as a reseller with them.
I've white labeled with them, so I have to pay them, so they don't pay me. I absorb the cost for the client, so the client only pays one person. Yeah.
I make the client pay for them.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't disclose to the client that wasn't my software. because I've got it white labeled and I say this is a benefit. I never outright lie and say this is our software, but I say we've got the ability to do this, and this is what we can do, you know.
So how are you charging for the calls? Because don't you have to pay for the call?
Yeah. So it's included generally in the price.
How much does that cost per client, roughly? And do you have a ball?
It varies per number, so they have a price per number. So how it works, I'll tell you how the hell this thing works. So instead of having a number hard-coded on a site or a landing page, you put a piece of JavaScript there instead. And you have a pool of numbers. So you might have 5 or 10 or 100. And every session, so every time someone clicks and lands on a page, it cycles the pool of numbers. So it knows which number was attached to what click and what search term. And then when the dial goes through, it connects that as a stat and then records it. So that's how it works. But the more traffic a site has, the more numbers it needs, because it needs to keep pooling for different sessions. So it varies on how much traffic, and that varies by ad spend. So that's why within my pricing, which we'll cover next, that my fee is a price plus a percentage of budget, so that I make more money per ad spend as well. Because if I charge $1,500 and had a $100,000 ad spend and I had to pay for Delicon, I'd be losing a lot of money, you know.
So what percentage of your retainer price do you end up paying to Delicon, and is that low? Would that be?
It's low.
Would that be roughly the same for us starting out, or do you have some sort of higher volume pricing?
So first of all, I wouldn't even do this on a small client, because it was more work.
What would be the price ad budget range that you would consider above or below to be a small or large client?
If I can make $3,000 a month, I'll do this.
So that'll be $1,500 plus 10%. So they've got to be spending about.
Or if they're doing SEO and stuff too, and I feel like being nice, you know.
There's something magical that happens with this. You tie yourself to that lead. Like you say how Sam Ovens just sent you this lead. Like, I literally called my client and I'm like, yeah, you had these calls. This was from the Water Corporation. This was from this government agency. You're getting business. It's tied to me. That's awesome.
Yeah, this thing is just money.
Do you think it works on French?
Don't know. You could have a look. That's your question for everything, eh? There's got to be someone, yeah.
You can host the software yourself. It's just tricky to host it yourself.
Yeah, there's one.
If they've got it in New Zealand, like they've actually got staff in New Zealand and an office in New Zealand. So I'd say they got one in France.
I think they're Aussie company.
Oh, yeah.
Do they sell white labeling?
Oh, actually, no. You can use a different company to this. The only reason I was forced to use these guys is because I'm in New Zealand. So there's WordStream. WordStream, I think, might actually have a better offering than this if you're in America.
WordStream.
Yeah.
Google's starting to do some of this now too.
So Google's always done call tracking, but they don't do call whispers and call record, which are the two really cool things.
So the three main features are call tracking, call whispering, and call recording.
Yeah, and WordStream does all of those, and it probably does even more.
Okay.
But I can't use it because I'm in New Zealand.
And keyword integration. That's the big thing that these guys do. They tell you what keyword they click on, which landing page they came from.
And this thing tells you the results that often that's what you optimize your SEO campaign for, right? Which one's delivering the calls, but not just the calls. You listen to the calls, and what are the calls that actually turn into money?
Okay.
That keyword is what you're going to put into the SEO campaign.
Now, how do you track if it's not a call-based thing and it's a form fill-out, a lead capture? What tracking tool do you use for that?
Analytics.
Just Google Analytics.
Yeah. So analytics will do anything except for calls. That's what Delicon does, but Delicon actually feeds that stat into analytics. So you end up with everything in analytics.
Are you doing anything crazy with analytics? Like, apparently you can do all kinds of like conversion tracking goals.
I know you could go seriously hard on the stuff, but it's like you can't be a perfectionist on this stuff, you know. Like, I can't even be a perfectionist on this stuff for my company itself, let alone for a client, you know? But so I cut the line, and I cut the line quite short.
So what are you limited to?
Just enough to tell if it's working or not. Yeah. So it's real simple. It's if we get a new client, you've got to order some numbers that they get when they're fulfilled, and you've got the numbers. Then the AdWords guy just puts the JavaScript on the landing pages. Yeah. But I did really want to use WordStream, but I couldn't. So you definitely want to look into WordStream, because in the United States, I'm pretty sure that's a better company to go with.
WordStream was more keyword management.
It is, but they've also got features that do this. Yeah.
It's also a lot more expensive.
Do they not just do cool? Oh, they don't. Okay. Well, you've got a couple of different options.
Well, I was wondering, is there something different besides that this is New Zealand? Does this do anything special that like another, like I know Paul Rail is another one that's pretty popular?
There's self-hosted stuff that you can use too that does all of this.
Sure.
This is just a quick and dirty, easy one.
All you really need from this is the whisper and the analytics.
Yeah, I hate features. Like, it's the devil in business is complexity. Like, the second we start talking about, like before, like, does the phone number disappear off the landing page after business hours? Like, bye-bye profit margin. Like, that's gone. Like, that's why I won't let a conversation go anywhere near that sort of stuff, you know?
You can schedule AdWords to only show during certain hours.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
If it's only open until 6 and nobody's there after 6, then just show the ad between, you know.
Yeah, like, honestly, these things are so complex that you could go so far that it would just be... And it'd be worth it if maybe someone was paying you $1 million, you know. But like, you remember the best thing to do is just get them results. Like, they don't care if their number disappears on AdWords or they don't even know. Like, they don't care what like analytics you've got. Just so long as they're getting customers and they're paying you less than what they're making, good.
She'll go over reporting and campaign management, how you're tweaking the strategy over time.
So I don't change so the AdWords contractor will optimize. And when he optimizes, it's not split testing of landing pages, it's mostly just bid. So I know he changes bids, I know he gets rid of bad keywords, and he split tests ads. So ads we split test. But we never go as far as split testing landing pages. Like, I keep it simple. I've gone a bit more complex on a client before that was a higher value one, and it wasn't worth it. Like, and they were even paying me $10,000 a month. And I started doing some fancy stuff, and before I knew it, it was just out of control, you know. So, the next one. So, like, our strategy for this, for AdWords, what we do is we do, you know, the keyword research. That's the foundation of it all. Then we build the campaigns in AdWords, and how we build the campaign in AdWords is in making it really simple, because I'm just going to try and make it simple. For each keyword, there's, you know, a different ad group, and inside that ad group, there's 2 ads. And then with those 2 ads, they're attached to one landing page. And basically what you're doing is you can then track one keyword and see if it's good. You can then split test the 2 ads, and then you've just got one landing page. And attached to that, you've got the call tracking and Google Analytics. And that's the basis of it, but for different keywords. And then, so that's how the architecture thing's built. And then ad copy is as simple as just main benefit and having the keyword in the ad. So the URL you should just change to the keyword. The headline should have the keyword in it, and the description should have the keyword in it, because what Google does is it bolds that if that's what you search for. So if you search for like Miami plumber and the ad came up, Miami plumber would be bolded, gets a higher click-through rate. And then it states the main benefit. So like 24/7, if that's something that people care about, or best price, or urgent response, something like that, and then a call to action like call now or something. So real simple stuff. I mean, you don't even have much space to get very wild with copy with AdWords anyway. And then the analytics, we use Google Analytics, we use Dalacon for call tracking. There's some other providers in the US you can look at. And then all of the rest of the stuff is just basically optimization. So they're improving the optimization. So they're removing some keywords, changing ads, bidding more, bidding less, just optimizing it. And that's the job of the AdWords contractor on the ongoing basis. Does that make sense? So then, for this one, this is how I price it. So because this one has quite a big setup, I've put a setup price in there.
So setup is, so if you're doing month one, the first month it's 2,000, and then the next month it's...
No, the month one would be 3,500 plus 10%. Yeah. Because, I mean, you've got to understand how much work we just talked about, right? Like, it's not real easy.
So if someone's going to spend like $5,000 in ads here per month, you're talking about a $500 ad spend, or a $500...
Generally, someone has to have above a $5,000 ad spend per month to want this.
Okay, so really, you don't have anybody that's spending less than $5,000 a month who takes this. Okay.
They're just too much work.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't make enough, like, if you're spending less than that, then you can't justify the price. Although I think you actually could, because the thing about AdWords is that if it's not managed and set up properly, it just ruins your credit card. Like if you just put plumber in there and put a random ad on landing page and put 10 grand on it, be gone in like 20 minutes. And you wouldn't get anything. But but let's say if you're paying, so I think the price where it would actually become beneficial is at 3,000. Because I think it would be hard to sell to someone at that, but in my mind that's when it would be a good decision, because it's more than worthwhile to put half the money into paying someone to do it properly than to spend it all and not know what you're doing.
So how do you position yourself against competitors who charge way less than that? But might even do this type of work. Is it just that never comes up because they don't know it exists? Or have you run into situations like that?
Anyone that can honestly do it, anyone that charges less than that won't do it right. Anyone that knows how to make AdWords work makes quite a bit of money. That's the thing about AdWords, and the same with SEO. Anyone that charges less than those prices I showed you before for SEO probably doesn't know what they're doing. Like, these are things where you need to know what you're doing. Like my SEO guy, he was charging 10% less than those prices, remember? And he was doing it successfully.
Do you charge them for the ad spend, or do you put their credit card onto the account?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It depends on how your tax law works in your country. Like, this is getting pretty complicated, but I found a very complex way to run all of this. So I used to get their credit card on it, but now I put mine on it. I charge them up front for the month, so I hold their money, and then I don't have to pay the ad spend for 55 days because that's a credit card thing. So I get to hold their budget for essentially 2 months. And I invest that in areas of the business that I know come back to me before 55 days. So I've basically created my own engine of growth inside the company. We hold huge amounts We pretty much get free money for 55 days.
And you get the reward points too.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
How big is your credit line to do that?
So big that I have to write the check for them to allow it, and then once it's gone 3 times, they'll stretch the limit to that. So it's more than $1 million a month.
Do you know of anybody doing that here in the U.S.?
It depends on how the tax structure works, because if you do that, you might have to add sales tax onto different things and end up paying that back to the government. So it's something I don't think we should dive into here, but like, look at it. Does anyone do you do that here?
Yeah, we do that, but I never worry about sales tax. Like, it's just part of the fee for the client. So.
Do you have to pay? Does Google charge you sales tax?
No.
Must suck to live in New Zealand.
No. Google doesn't charge us sales tax, but if we resell it, like then it's like we've resold it, and then there should be sales tax on it. So we had to do all sorts of weird things with tax.
So bottom line, we should talk about accountant or something. Right?
Yeah. Because it has to be an exempt service. We basically say this is trust money, and it's an exempt service from sales tax.
I'm pretty sure Google just eats the sales tax.
Yeah. I don't know.
Why would they do that?
Maybe, but I don't think.
Why would
there
they
was sales tax on that.
The bottom line is you charge them all of it up front. You take it and then you spend their budget.
So you can make it work.
You can make it work.
Yeah, it's probably the most dangerous thing in the world to do if you don't know that the money is going to come back. But I know with my Facebook campaigns and most of the things I do that the money, I know the payback periods and everything.
And you're talking about dangerous as in spending their money.
Yeah. Because if I spend their money and then the credit card company is like, where's the money? It's gone, Yeah.
Is there a minimum time period that the client has to commit to doing this? Like at least 3 months or something?
So I don't put it in contract, but if I at all sense that someone's not going to stick for the long term, I won't even start. It's too much work on the front end for anyone that's going to stay any less than a year.
Do you create a new AdWords account?
Yeah.
For each name?
Because when I spoke with the lawyer, apparently whoever accepts the terms and conditions has the intellectual property in that account. So that's why I make sure that we create a new one and I accept it. Yeah.
So this is your other way of protecting the account.
Yeah, because otherwise that overrides whatever your contract says. So that's what the lawyers told me. Well, whoever clicked that button and signed and accepted Google AdWords terms and conditions owns the account data. And Google's terms and conditions are more powerful than your terms and conditions on your contract. Does that make sense? Yep. So if someone gets into a fight with you about who owns the intellectual property, whoever clicked that accept button will win in the end.
So how is your account set up if you only have one credit card? Do you have everyone's campaign in one account with your credit card?
So there's MCC, is that what it's called?
My Client Center?
Yeah. So I've got that, and when you add a new one, you just click Add New. The guy creates it, and then you put in the same credit card for each one.
So they let you put in the same credit card
Yeah.
for multiple accounts? Okay, I tried that.
On this, in this case, what is your contractor charge for setup and
So with AdWords, I've got a really good deal. So he only charges $250 per month.
and no percentage, nothing else, just 250 per month?
No what, sorry?
Percentage of budget
Oh, no, none of that.
and no setup?
That's why when I asked the locksmith, I was like, how much do you pay? And I was like, is this guy rich? And he said, no way. I was like, fuck, I've got to get this guy.
So is that not the guy you're currently using in the Rockstar contractor thing?
No, because this guy's a New Zealand guy. Yeah. So this has only changed recently, right? And I recommend you do the same after you've, once you've got, I'd say at 10 grand a month in this, it's when you want to start hunting for your own guys,
Well, even before that, we tried different contractors. Like I had a really shit AdWords guy. Got rid of him, found someone else. It cost some money, but now I have a really good guy.
And then when you find someone good, like really good, you want to like, you know, like lock them in, yeah.
You mean with the actual contract?
Well, you kind of want to try and like hire them or get them into a contract so that they're only contracting to you, or whatever you can do to bring them in. So the thing about this is that you can't hire people because it's such a learning curve. If you get a university student and they're doing AdWords, gee, like, they don't teach you this stuff.
What does he do for $250?
Like everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So he actually, like, so he was an Indian guy and he had a really, really, really bad stutter. And like, so this is the example of like really smart, like really good at what he does, but just can't even talk like properly. As soon as the conversation gets a bit stressful, he's like, you know what I mean? And like he is so happy now, like, because I'm paying him more than what he used to charge. Like, so he's so happy now that he doesn't have to be faced with that sort of stuff. He's just focusing on what he likes doing, and you know, he's making more money. He's happy. Like, this is a good deal.
For AdWords, the weekly management, like, it only takes like 20 minutes. Yeah. So, and same thing with SEO guys. You want to look for guys that are like Indian, Filipino, Asian that can't speak English well. Like, and those guys are brilliant guys out there that just can't talk to clients, and you partner with them. You know, so.
Brilliant guys at stutter.com.
Want to get SEO forums or AdWords forums, like go on those kind of sites and just ask and say, hey, I've got clients, I'm looking to partner, and then you'll get a bunch.
Well, look at how the best companies in the world are created. It's generally a nerd and someone that sees the nerd's potential and is like, dude, we can sell this. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it happens. And like, that's, you know, you've got the technical guy, but it's like you need the left brain guy and the right brain guy. It's always what you need. And it's why if you just have, the mistake I made with hiring was having all these entrepreneur guys that like selling and not fulfilling, and you know, like you're ruined. The best combination is the two. And that's kind of what I've got going with the contractors. It's a really good combination.
Have you ever seen that they had like the ad copy was a little off because they're not native English speakers?
So I don't think the native English speakers is like, I don't think that should be a criteria for finding a contractor. Or stuttering, you know, these are just examples. Like, I think it should be, you wouldn't put an ad up saying like, stuttering Indian shy guy, like.
You don't want one that can communicate really well. So they have to like your website guy, he's very good at email. So you want one that can communicate well by email, and then they can write good ad copy. But we write our own ad copy. Like, I have a writer, and I just, you know, we have the ads out, then they just write them all down.
But most of the time he just copies stuff, you know, like, it's, if he was writing blog posts, I don't think it'd be good, but this is just ad copy and landing pages. And most of the time we copy the campaign from the last one. It's just copy, paste, and swapping out the services, right? Because like I said, the formula is main services, local area, right? That's generally how keywords work for most businesses. So I would recommend using, like, you know, the contractors we've already got. I'm going to be adding a few more in there as well to update the list a bit. And as soon as you're starting to make money, like, you should start the hunt for like your own talent, you know? I don't think you should plan to use just freelance contractors that are doing everything for everyone forever. You should definitely hunt to get good talent.
And what would you search for that talent in general?
So my formula was really good at what they do, but bad at selling it. So with SEO, it was just looking for people that were ranking for SEO that generally was just the first guy I could find, who's the third guy down, because the top two guys had kind of already got investment or found someone to sell, you know what I mean? And then this guy was still kind of added his own, and I was like, perfect. Probably equal skill to the other guys, just missing this element. So I found that through the locksmith guy. But I saw the same equation there. I saw really good at what he's doing. The quality score of the ads was through the roof. The click-through rate was there. It worked because I just purchased. And the guy told me how well it was working for his business and that he'd grown from 1 to 10 guys. And I heard his phone ringing. Like, I knew it worked, so I saw talent. And then the next question was, who's doing this for you? He told me, and then I was like, how much do you pay? It was low. Is this guy rich? No. Good formula.
So, how do you, I mean, if someone is not doing AdWords, you're basically asking them to spend like $8,000 first month. Or, you know, 5,000 in budget, plus actually even more. Yeah. 5,000 in budget ads and then your fees.
So if someone was going to spend $5,000, you mean in budget? Yeah. Unless, but a lot of the time what someone will do is they might lower budget to help with the first month if that's what's guaranteed for the next ones. So if they say, let's say $5,000's their budget, you add it all up, does it add up to 10, does it? 9. Oh no, with the setup. 9. Okay, so what they might do is they'll say, well, can we decrease the ad spend for that, because that's going to lower their cost. It's not lowering how much you make, but it's going to lower their cost. Yeah.
I have a lot of prospects who wants to do it, but I mean, I even told them you should start with $2,000 budget, not 5.
And you know what? There's that, like, it doesn't work. Like, we like, there's not. Most people won't, you know, that's the way it works. But there's a lot of people out there that spend this. Like, we have like a plumber that spends $10,000 a month, just a plumber, you wouldn't know. When I asked the locksmith, he was spending 15.
On AdWords alone?
Yeah, 15,000 on AdWords a month. Yeah.
Plus management.
Which was $200. That's what I saw. This is how this all started. I was like, holy shit.
So that was a very valuable break key.
Yeah, and you know what? Because I said that I was going to give that guy a job, he gave me a free repair. Yeah. Because he said that guy was like a real nice guy, and he said, look after him because he's got a stutter. And I said, man, I'll hire that guy. And he was like, oh, well, if you hire him, like, if you look after him, because I really like him, he's helped me grow my business, he's the most lovely guy in the world. He was like, don't even bother with paying for this repair. So he like ripped up the bill, and on that day I probably made a lot of money.
So how often, if you break down your clients, how many of them are already spending money in AdWords versus like they're not spending a dime on AdWords? What would you say that percentage breakdown is? And then if they are spending money, what's the average spend that they're usually spending? Is it 3 to 5 and above, or much more than that?
So that's a really good question. What I've found in my market is so many people have tried this and been burned. So a lot of them aren't doing it, but they've tried it. Or they're doing it in a small scale and they want to do it at a bigger scale. Or they're doing it with a provider and not getting results and want to change. And then the other one is not doing it, like, never done it ever before. It would probably be as low as 10 to 15%, yeah.
So there's basically never done it, done it before and got burned.
And not doing it, but interested in doing it.
Not doing interested in doing it, and then there are those.
Doing it right now at a small scale, but want to do it big. And then doing it themselves. And, you know, it's a lot of different people. The most common people to sell is the people that have been doing it themselves or have been burnt before or are with the guys that are making like $100 million a year and doing a shit job. Yeah.
So
honestly, the best way, if I had to tell you, would be find the competitor in your market that's charging the same price, if not more than you, but doing a shit job.
Okay.
And then hope they don't have long-term contracts.
And to convince them, these guys who've been burned, you just show them how you do it? Like
Yeah, I just explain it to them like I did here. And you've got to explain it so that they get it. And like, you've got to speak like, the call tracking thing is like, you can say, we're going to find out whether this works or not very quickly. And we'll be transparent. There's so many cowboys in AdWords. Like, that's why it's a good market. Someone that's been burned has so much pain.
What do you mean there's so many cowboys?
Like people that will, companies that will sell it to you, run out your budget in one day for your company name as a keyword, which is useless, and send all the useless traffic to your homepage and charge you 50% of ad spend.
Right.
That's what the company does in New Zealand. 50% of ad spend. They don't touch your landing page. They don't do any research. They charge 50%, and they make about less than almost 100 million a year, I'd say. That's why I got into this market.
So you struggle with people that have been burnt? You know, somebody that's maybe had a couple months where they spent a couple, 10, 20 grand and didn't get anything?
I've become real good at knowing when to just leave something. So if I get any sense of difficulty now, I just, nah. Like,
What do you mean by difficult?
that they're going to just be on my back for results every day, or that they're too skeptical that it's going to be a hard sell, that they can't afford it, that they're going to cancel, anything that's not good.
And you're going to cover that more tomorrow in like the marketing
Yeah.
conversation part.
What's a phrase that you hear that kind of sends up a red flag?
When people really need something bad, like they need customers tomorrow, otherwise they're bankrupt, right? Like, no. Like, that's bad because it's way too much pressure.
Have you had more, and again, kind of restate the question, have you been more successful than selling to people that have had some experience with AdWords versus those that are like, what's AdWords?
If I think,
or maybe not what's AdWords, but like they haven't done it at all. They just kind of like are looking at, maybe we should do
the only time it's real easy to sell it to people that haven't done it before is when their competitors are doing it. Yeah. So if their competitors are doing it and they're not,
like that rug
that's
example,
a good, yeah.
that rug company.
Yeah, I love those companies.
It's a good question because it changes your marketing pitch.
Mm.
Someone that hasn't done it before, or you spent $100 or whatever they did it for free.
Yeah.
Someone who's actually got some experience or background, negative or positive.
There's so many variables in this new way of doing things that, like, and that's why I wanted to hold like a boot camp sort of thing, because I think I'd be handicapping everyone if I created a script, because it would be there's no one linear script for this, because there's 4 different products, there's so many different variables, you need to understand the products, understand, like, have the right mindset. Like, if you've got that and you can be flexible when you're talking to them and understand what they need, and then it just works really, really, really well.
So have you done it where you might go into AdWords, you might look for, like, let's just say, for example, the 17 niches you talk about. Look for people who are advertising in there, see that there are some that are running successful campaigns, and then just target anybody else in that niche who has a company that's above the $1 million mark in advertising, but just not on AdWords. And almost be like, hey, look, and like that's in your letter, the screenshot of.
Yeah, so I have a list of everyone spending money on AdWords in my whole country.
How'd you get that?
Scraped it. So you can get lists like that. Yeah, you can find lists of people spending.
Any idea of where we would go to get something like that?
Like, if you want a good way to start, it's finding the. Like a real good way to do it would be to find the industries that spend the most on AdWords, right? There'll be a list of those. Then take those industries, figure out the keywords for those that people would search within those industries. Then search for all those different ones and find all the different paying for ads, right?
Pretty good at figuring out the piece of software that tells you what ads people are putting on AdWords.
Wait, what's it called?
Spyfu, SPYFU. Hey, pretty good.
Do you sometimes increase your price per month?
Not really. Like, if I definitely would if we were going to speak about doing those more advanced things. Like the shutting off of numbers and split testing landing pages, you know, that sort of stuff.
If someone who's never tried it before came in saying, like, we want to try this for a couple months to see if it can work for us, would you do it assuming you think they can get results?
Yes, but I would never, ever, ever charge less than $1,500 a month.
Now, how do you position yourself, or is that going to be more tomorrow, if like you pretty much have never managed an AdWords campaign, and you're targeting somebody who's already spending money on AdWords, they've been burned by this other guy, so then potentially questioning.
So it's got to do with positioning, but most of it has to do with, I'd say, you know, your marketing and sales skills when it comes to this stuff is 50%. The other 50% is just the knowledge of the product. That's why I'm doing a whole day on knowledge, and why I've included it, because if you don't know like how it works, you can't really sell it.
And there's a little bit that you can go learn on AdWords, like having different campaigns for their competitors. So one of the things that we do is we split into four. One, a competitor campaign, a remarketing campaign, a search campaign, and I forget what the other one is, but splitting those out, like when you talk to people about that, they get it. They're like, he knows what he's talking about.
Actually, it's a good point that I forgot to bring up. So where does retargeting fit in all of this?
So the typical retargeting I do for people is just ad roll, because it's so easy.
And is that packaged in here, or is that like a separate upside?
It's like a bonus thing. So like, I don't think it's big enough to put on its own as a main product, but yeah, I also sell retargeting.
How do you price that?
So it depends on the ad spend and the complexity of it and everything, but generally it would start at $1,000 a month.
Is there a place to get more information on that? Are you going to do a module on that?
I think at the end we will, at the end of this today, when we get to Q&A, we'll do a whole piece on retargeting if you want.
Sounds good.
It's just a real simple thing if you use AdRoll.
I'm pretty familiar with retargeting, more of just how you price it, structure it, and
Yeah.
to the client.
Mm.
Some people, when I call them, they're very skeptical of AdWords and friends because they say like, oh, there are some robots that are going to click on my ads and you know.
People like that.
If you just call Google and say we're getting fraud clicks, we're taking away. So if you do like fraud on clicks, like you know it, then you just call them up and they take it away. So.
It's like a worry problem, you know. I'd say you're just worrying too much.
I think that's a good point, Craig, though, is that you just let them know, hey, if you suspect it, we'll call Google and we'll sort it out.
Facebook or display ads, like you just tell them, like, hey, we're getting fraud clicks, but I've never had it happen in 3 years. So. Yeah.
Did you say before that you turn off the call tracking once you're confident that it's getting results?
No, it runs for good. But I won't put it on a real cheap customer. Yeah. So additional resources, I definitely recommend looking more into AdWords because there's a lot of money in it, and it's something that people actually want it. There's a lot of people out there with AdWords on their minds, and AdWords actually, I think it would deliver results more than any other type of marketing out there right now. Yeah, and fast. Like, AdWords really works.
Here's a hard question for you. Where do you see it going? Is it going to get more and more and more competitive in each AdWord? Even if it's sort of a long tail ad, it's going to get more expensive for each.
It'll do what every market does. It'll hit like perfect competition in bids. So what happens is, as everyone enters the market and they work out their cost to acquire a customer, they tweak their funnels and everything, they increase their bid until they're paying the last they can pay to make profit, right? At that point, the only thing that happens in a market is innovation, and something will change, you know? And at that point, you just got to catch the next one.
How long do you think that'll take?
Years, man. Most people aren't using it. Like, it's not a worry to not to do it, you know?
Do you use Bing and stuff like that?
Never. So a big focus of mine is just like 80-20 in terms of what works for businesses, what businesses to target to, and then with those things, apply it to that. So which pieces of it? Like, I don't split test landing pages, don't turn numbers on and off. It's just the big 80-20. The keywords, the ads, the landing page. SEO, it's the content, the on-page, the links. And those things work, you know, like...
I just added Bing because for one of my clients, he has like a lot of government people, and government people use like Internet Explorer, and Bing is like the default browser, right? And the clicks are cheap as hell, and the click-through rates are higher than anything else.
If you, like, you can, you're well, yeah.
I was just wondering if you do any of that.
Never touched it.
Has Twitter risen to be interesting, or you thought it's still part of the 20 that's...
It's too new. It'll, like, I've never even used it, so I can't even say. But right now, like, SEO and AdWords, I'd say, are the big ones. And they're quite old, you know. They're not really that new. They're quite old.
How do you decide for your prices, actually?
How do I decide?
Yeah.
It's a mixture of cost, value, and competition. Yeah. So in my local market, I'm priced about 10% above like the premium side, but a whole lot less than the guys that are just, you know, raping the market. Like, because I've got to have a strong pitch against those guys. But I also, you know, there's guys out there that, I'm not kidding, pitch to the same client and their fee is $250 a month. And they never ever win because they can't describe it and they can't speak about call tracking, and they don't even know what they're doing. So it'd be a bad move for them to even choose that guy and pay $250 a month and save $1,250 because they wouldn't get as much results. That's why you should never worry about someone that's charging $250. Like, if they're charging $250, they generally don't know what they're doing. Or they've got a serious confidence issue, which was like what my guy had. He knew what he was doing, but he had a massive confidence issue. He even feels guilty, like, asking me for, like, the money, you know? Yeah. So additional resources, wordstream.com, the AdWords for Dummies book, and then there'll be some more stuff in the Blueprint program. And then the same exercises with SEO. What do you need to do to upskill in this area? So what do you need to learn? How are you going to learn it? Like, what resources and how? And then set a date when you're going to be confident enough on this topic to sell it to other people. So has everyone completed that exercise? Cool. And then this is, any more questions on AdWords, and then we'll lunch.
So I noticed a lot of people are struggling with your pricing, but this is exactly how you sell it today, right? And you don't have a lot of resistance for your ideal client.
I even think like it's as low as it can possibly go for doing what we do.
So why do you think a lot of people are struggling with that price?
Mindset, like they haven't gone out and seen how much money's being made. Like,
because I look at that and I'm like, it looks like a lot, but it makes a lot of sense.
I look at that and I think it's way too small. You know, like there's a lot of work. Did you hear like what we have to do? You know, like we're doing the best possible thing for the client, excluding the tiny little things that have hardly any leverage to them. Like, we're getting the main things done for the client. Like, this is they really are, like, I really believe in those two products more than anything else. Like, if you have that set up for your business, like, I believe more in that than anything else, like, I've got, you know?
When you say that you sleep 2 hours per night, do you actually have to bring Red Bull all day or what?
Yeah, well, like, for example, if you've got to do something, I don't know what happens to your body, but it just does it, you know? Like, I don't think if this event wasn't live, if it was a course, it probably wouldn't be happening, you know? But I have to be here at 9 to speak on the first day, so everything just worked. I just made it work. Yeah. That's the cool thing about, like, that, the standards thing we talked about. Like, you'll just push yourself. It's not healthy, though. Any other questions?
For an AdWords deal, how would you go about determining how many landing pages you'd set up, and is there a minimum or maximum that you try to shoot for?
Landing pages, on average, it's 10. Sort of, you wouldn't want it, like, you always, at the bare minimum, you have to cover the keywords, right? That is the bare minimum. Then you might have, it depends how many variables of the keywords you've got. So if you've got 3 main keywords, then the smallest amount you could have would be 3 landing pages and 3 keywords and 3 ads. But if you're going to increase more variables on that, like 5 geographic locations per keyword, then you've got, you know, it multiplies. It depends. It depends on how hard it is to sell the client, and it depends on how much money they're going to spend. Yeah. So that's not a very good rule because, you know, you should offer it all to everyone, but that's how I do it.
Didn't you say you use the AdWords portion to kind of figure out what SEO keywords to then target? How long do you do the AdWords piece to then figure out?
Until you know the winners. It could be 30 days. It depends on how much budget they're spending. It depends on how well their funnel and conversion thing works. Until you know, then... on average a month should tell you. If someone's spending decent money, yeah.
Why don't you price the AdWords per number of keywords as in the SEO?
It's a different... So I've also looked at what the market does, and in general the market with SEO will vary by keyword, and with AdWords it's generally a % of ad budget and a fee. It's just the way the market kind of works. Does that make sense? In each industry, like SEO or AdWords, that's how most companies will price. So it's quite different from when we first talked about retainers, eh? So what do we do for the clients? So if they don't have a page, we just do a quick setup of one. If they have a page, we'd make it a little bit better. And then we'd assist with posts and engagement. So it's basically just saying once a week, like an email sort of reminder, once a week that just to post something. Generally, it's the post from the blog. So if there's been a, check out our new blog post, or this thing happened which was exciting in the business, or we hired a new person, just something on it. It's not really advanced, that side. The real side is the PPC side. So the real, results side is PPC, and that's when you can help them, if they've got a Facebook fan page, you can help them get more fans. Some people really care about that, because it's amazing what people care about and what piece you can use to sell someone. So, I went in once and I was talking to this company, and I was ready to pitch them about Facebook the way I usually do it. And then they just pulled up their competitors and showed me how many fans they had. And that was all they cared about. They were like, these, and I was like, okay, well, we'll just get you more of them then. And they were like, yeah, if we can have more, then we'll sign up. So I was like, okay then, you know, I'm not going to go down the whole path of we'll do all this best practice stuff. Like, of course we should do this, but you don't want to. You want to sense what someone really wants, and that's the real damage a script can do if you follow it word for word, and really go down the path like hammering someone towards doing something. So PPC can drive fans. It can drive engagement. So if they post content, it can help just boost that content and get more people to engage with it. And the other one is it can drive traffic to the website. This is probably the most powerful side of it, is using it as a way to get traffic. The massive difference between Facebook and between AdWords and SEO is one's search and one's like display. One has, in one area someone experiences a problem, then they search for a keyword, and then they see an ad. In Facebook, it's a person is just interrupted with an ad, and if they're interested, they click. Does that make sense? So it's completely different in how it works. And it's in Facebook, the way you do it well is by really knowing who your ideal customer is, because it's just all to do with targeting. So with clients, if they really can define who their customer is, and it turns out that there's a lot of those people on Facebook, then they're like a perfect fit. So that's basically what we do. If I was to describe the normal sort of client that we get, we'd just set up their page, optimize it a bit, email them once a week to get something to put there. We'd help them grow their fans slowly, so they're growing at a decent enough rate if they've got none. So a bit of ad spend would be put there. We'd also put a little bit of spend on the posts as well, and then most of the spend would be on driving traffic to the website. Any questions on this stuff?
Why would you spend money on the post?
Because if we've spent money building the likes, then we need to spend a little bit getting the posts to the likes, because Facebook doesn't serve you to more than about, I think it's 7% of your likes.
And going down too.
Yeah. Unless you put spend on it. And you've already spent getting the likes, so yeah, that's why. Any questions?
Is this done by the same people who do some of the AdWords stuff, or is this done by in-house?
So this is done in-house at the moment. Yeah. So I've been doing it because I've, dived into Facebook really hard recently, learning all about it.
How many of these do you manage yourself right now?
I think total revenue was about, it's not that much, it's the smallest out of all, it's probably about $20,000.
Between how many clients?
Probably 10.
So you got about 10 clients paying you $2,000?
Yeah.
What's the process for driving fans? Is that different?
So if you're driving fans, so when you set up an ad in Facebook, you get to select what are you trying to do. Are you trying to get likes, I think is one of them, or fans? That pretty much, you're selecting your demographic and everything to get people to come to your page and like it. The other one is you're trying to direct traffic directly to a website.
Were any of these clients brought on with Facebook, or were all of them upsold this from some other service like SEO?
It's an upsell.
So
yeah.
Not led with this to anybody. Okay.
So the reason how I got into this is this is the back end product of that company in New Zealand that makes like almost 100 million. So they lead with so they don't touch SEO. They only sell AdWords, and this is one of their back end products.
How did you find out that was their back end cost?
Because I have one of their sales reps works for me. And as soon as we need more, I've got a queue of them ready as well, the other ones from the company. Because it's probably the best, like I said, if you're going to hire a sales rep, choose one that's been, closest fit to what you're doing.
What's the process when you make the same 100 landing pages at different?
Oh no, you don't. For this sort of stuff, it's completely different. So Driving fans and engagement, that's not to do with a website at all. If you're driving traffic, you have a landing page made for an offer. So if it's the best use of Facebook for our typical client will be retargeting. That's the best use for it, which is generally done through ad roll. But the best form of Facebook advertising right now is retargeting. That will always have the highest CTR and the highest ROI every single time. Then the next best use of it would be to just spend money on their ideal audience. So if you can work out, the ideal audience for them, which is you say, can you describe, what's your typical customer? Then you'd create that demographic and you'd just advertise there with, if it was a plumber, you'd just have like plumbing Auckland or something like that. It's not very advanced stuff. And you'd be amazed at, with these brick and mortar sort of businesses, like the ads, because they're not competitive, the ads, sometimes weird, normal ads just work. Like you've probably seen other people advertise on Facebook and it's just a photo of a person smiling and it says dental, something, and those still work for these sorts of businesses. They just don't work on the internet marketing world because it's so fierce that everyone's so damn good at copywriting that you need to be really good to get attention.
So how do you use ad roll inside of Facebook? So you're saying under the retargeting and everything. So you're just creating fans and then trying to retarget them?
So this is why it gets complicated. So you do retargeting on Facebook that if the person wasn't buying a retargeting package. But if someone was buying a retargeting package, then you'd be using ad roll.
So the retargeting on Facebook would be done...
So I wouldn't call that retargeting, yeah. Like it is retargeting, but I'd call that a Facebook product. But if someone was doing retargeting, that would be mostly serving impressions on other websites and Facebook as well.
So they get tagged to be retargeted inside of Facebook if they're a fan or if they've gone to an offer on the website but not like opted into it then?
They get retargeted to if they've visited the website.
On Facebook, inside your Facebook package.
No, they get driven to the website.
They visit the website first and then they go to Facebook.
Yeah.
It's on the website they go.
It just got really confusing.
But for the Facebook ads, do you write into like a landing page or just the homepage of the website?
It totally depends. If it's retargeting and it's a basic sort of business, just the homepage is fine. If it's a specific offer and it's not retargeting, then it will be a landing page. But it's nowhere near as precise as AdWords is. Because with AdWords, you know the psychology of the person. If someone searches for hot water cylinder repair Auckland, like you know exactly what they want. So that's why the ad, the landing page, is all so specific. But when you're just serving impressions to anybody, then you can't have as specific message. Does that make sense?
How do you come up with the offers that you promote?
So for a retargeting ad, there's no real offer. It's just generally their brand, and it just says learn more. So no real offer for retargeting. If it was a specific offer for, say, the rug company, it would just say like handmade Persian rugs. Like it was just kind of like the.
So you're not really making an offer as much as you're just selling the products in general and trying to get them to go to the website.
Yeah, so the stuff I've done for clients on Facebook is it's not very like offer oriented. It's mostly just getting them on there.
Do you drive, I think I've heard that it's cheaper to drive a customer to another Facebook page than it is to go to an external website. So do you do ads and point them to the company's Facebook page, or do you just sort of like the website?
So I always do a mixture of both, because how someone determines progress with their Facebook page, like how a typical business owner is happy, is if, one, they've got it, because they feel guilty if they don't and their competitors do, And two is it's got to be used. It can't feel like a graveyard. So just one post a week is generally enough. And their likes have to be growing at a steady pace. So if you can work out that you can get likes for, generally you can get them for less than $1, then just a steady trickle of them, like you can ask them how much, how many likes would you like to grow by per month. You can also look at the competition. And then just having ads on Facebook in general, in there, targeted to their market. That's like good enough, because that's more than the competition is doing. If you go any deeper down the rabbit hole with Facebook, it's just so time consuming.
How much money of those 10 clients you have, what's the average amount of money they actually spend?
So the beauty with Facebook is they might only spend about $500.
Is that about what they spend with you?
Yeah. But the hard thing about Facebook is that ads need to be recycled every 7 days. So that's why it's so differently priced. Because with Facebook, you've kind of got to maintain a page. And you've also got to worry about the fans. And then the ads only work for about 7 days before they're old. Because once they've served impressions to the market and they've seen it so many times, they will stop clicking, and when they stop clicking, the CTR goes down, and then they'll stop serving impressions. So you just need to recycle ads.
How much do you have to change them?
Generally the picture.
That's usually enough, right?
Yeah. And then you can use the old, every 4 weeks you can start using the old ones. That's why I say recycle. It's just important that, obviously you don't need a different image every single week for just you turn them off and you turn a new one on. Just they've got to be cycling over.
So every week, you or one of your employees will grab one of your clients and put a new post on one, and then you'll change the ad. And when you get to a 4-week cycle, you can just keep cycling through those.
Yeah.
So that's basically your service.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like much. So just a small amount of budget would go on each one, because that's what I mean. But when I say, yeah, like 10 to 20, that's what I say when I mean if you've spent money building a following, then you want to put a little bit of fuel on each post, because you've already paid to get them.
You are charging $2,000 plus an additional advertising budget.
Yeah. So this one I know with Facebook, so I've kind of been experimenting with it. And I know that they're selling a lot of it at the other company because it's a hot topic. And, in any sort of hot topic bubble market, it's just easy. And you always want to be following those trends. They're selling a lot of it. It's like the best back-end sort of product. And you want to make any back-end product, you want to make sure it's high margin. And it's a lot of work if you're going to dive deeper down the rabbit hole. This is about all I think you can do to get them a decent sort of return and make money.
So do you ever, since Facebook is primarily entertaining, you don't even get into that from what I'm saying.
What do you mean by entertaining?
People don't go there for information as much as they do to be entertained. Even if they click on an ad, right? It's the entertainment value of it. And if they have an ad that gives shown them interest, they've liked it, whatever. Have you ever gone down that path ever?
Well, I've found that some of these markets are just so untapped. Like a plumbing market on Facebook is just, if you just have an ad that says plumbing something, it still does a little bit of work.
And it kind of obviously drives back into AdWords and SEO positioning.
Yeah. Right. It's a good thing for them to have. If I wouldn't only sell this to a client, because if they were on me for ROI, I wouldn't even know. You know what I mean? Sure. Because it's quite hard to prove.
And they see it too, and they like it for them.
Yeah, a lot of companies, this is actually just what they want. So,
like you said, they just want more likes.
When your competitors are on there and you've got a business that's multi-millions, you kind of worry about its image too. It's not just all cost. Otherwise, the business wouldn't be where it is. They worry a bit about the brand and how they look. And for $2,000 to keep that image there is absolutely worth it. A lot of companies pay to sponsor race cars, like $100,000 a year to put their brand on the side of a race car. What's the ROI in that? it's not always to do with ROI. And Facebook's one of them that's more like, you know, the brand sort of side of things. Makes sense?
Assistants with posts, they have to provide you with content, or will you write the content for them?
No, I won't write the content. They've got to, they know it's coming. It's just an automated, like an autoresponder thing that sends them. It says, what have you got, like, to show? Yeah.
Oh, they post it.
No, they send something.
To you.
Yeah.
Or you upsell them into the other package where you create the blog post and you say, if we create the blog post for you and you add this package in, we'll...
If they don't have anything, generally I just use the blog post. Yeah, because it's easy.
You want more than just blog post links on your Facebook page.
How often are you posting those blog articles?
1 a week. Yeah.
I actually use a third-party white label company that just posts for $50 a month. They post, I think, 3 to 4 networks.
What's it called?
Huh?
Do you mind sharing?
So this is a new one I've been experimenting with, and I know that this works because I've seen other companies as well that just, they call it social media management. It's more of like, you know you need to be doing it, but it's like blogging, right? It's like you, like, I couldn't do Facebook stuff. I might do it well for a week, and then I forget about it, and it just starts to look like a graveyard. I'm like, I've never been there. And most business owners are like that because they're focusing on their business. And just knowing that it's going to look nice is honestly a decent offer. And that's what they like. This is what I've found that they want, and they pay a lot of people to do it. So I've been managing it until the point where I can see that we'll get an account manager to do it and see what the profit margins and stuff are like.
Are you offering, I decided I already know the answer, anything else in terms of Pinterest or something like that, or is it just Facebook?
Just Facebook.
And the company that is doing so well and raping everybody in New Zealand, are they offering anything else on the back end too?
Just Facebook.
Is there a reason why they don't touch SEO?
Yeah, because it's too hard. I told you they're hooked on the margins. They used to sell a directory product, so they used to just have a phone team. They'd say, we've got this directory. Back when internet was new, being anywhere on the internet, a lot of their clients didn't have a website. Website was too much, so they'd just get a listing on a directory, and if someone searched for them, that directory listing would come up, right? That was their old business, and they made an absolute fortune on that because it's nothing. All they had to do was enter in their details and hit go. And they had a genius way of doing it. They'd call people, offer them a free one, they'd put up a free one, and then I'm pretty sure they'd get their internal staff to click and make bogus inquiries. And then they'd call them back about a month later and say, hey, look, you got this much stuff and these inquiries, but you can get a whole lot more if you start paying. And then they had like 100 upsells, yeah, and they were making an absolute fortune.
Yellow Pages is doing that in Canada too, with the upsells.
Yeah, but now the market's kind of a bit smarter, and that sort of stuff doesn't work. Now you need to have a website. Pretty much everyone's got one, and just having a directory listing isn't good enough anymore. So they've learned that, and they've moved more to this. But to get into the SEO side they're going to sacrifice so much margin. I mean, I like selling the SEO, and if I was just going to make a ton of money, then I'd just focus on AdWords because it's way quicker to fulfill and sell and everything. But the way I see it is SEO is how you're going to keep them. It's like how you're really going to hold them for a long time.
Why don't you do LinkedIn and things like that? Have you just not had a chance to look at it? Or?
I just wanted to see where just focus on some just main ones. Because I still don't have, this. It's still borderline to me whether I should be selling Facebook. Like, most of the money is in AdWords, obviously. SEO gets people results and it keeps them. So that's why I like that. Facebook serves as a good upsell, and it's got a lot of margin in it. And content and email marketing is the next one we're going to cover, and that's a good upsell, but it's also really works. Like if you can get someone an email list, it's like one of the most valuable things you can have.
Did you collect, do you recapture on Facebook to collect email addresses?
No. I haven't even done that for myself. Yeah.
Did you cover pricing already?
I think we've got it coming up somewhere. Oh, so I said $1,500 per month for this, but I've been charging $2.
How much budget do you normally ask for that?
It's not so much the budget ever. Like it's mostly the management side, but typically $500.
So on top of that,
Yeah.
And would they pay you that budget? So you're basically just spending $2,500 a month, and you take $500 and spend it.
Yeah. Also, another good thing that's happened with Facebook is when they've been already doing it. So that's kind of what I've missed so far, is when they're already doing Facebook and they're doing it themselves, because the money's always just being wasted, and that's a really good hook to get in.
Just curious, I actually have a lot of Facebook clients, and we do really well with Facebook. It's one of our highest profit offerings. Are you charging, do you have any clients that said 500 that are actually above that you're charging them $5,000 a month for ad spend, and taking a percentage of that?
Yeah, but they're a different case. They're the ones that were already spending, and now we've come in and now we're managing.
And what number are you taking ad spend wise? Same as AdWords, 10%?
So I haven't taken percentage of Facebook ad spend.
Okay.
Yeah. This one's a new one for me. The reason why I'm not too big on the PPC side like AdWords and more on the management side and keeping it simple that way is because as soon as you get into big numbers in PPC spend with Facebook, the workload exponentially increases. Like if you have a big ad spend, you exhaust ads per day. Like I know I have to cycle my own ads every single day. It's the most laborsome thing out. And so I feel if you go after those sorts of clients, the amount of work is exponentially bigger. And I don't think it would be wise to do that.
Has that been your experience?
No. I haven't seen, we run our ads, like you said, it's about every 7 days we'll change them out. But even with larger budgets, we're still doing the same thing. We'll just have multiple ad segments, multiple campaigns at the same time. But we'll have the next one's in the queue. It's just a process that we put together. That's what it works. It's just the same thing that you're doing in the system with multiple campaigns, multiple ad sets, multiple ads. And it just works.
Yeah. Oh, I know it works, but for me it's always, effort for me, and it's I always want that fine point between most money and not doing too much work. Yeah. Because I manage Facebook for my own things, and I've seen the guys that I hire for my when I promote the course. I spend a lot of money on Facebook, and the complexity in there, you wouldn't want to do it for other clients. Because these guys charge 10 grand a month to do it for other people, but they're maxed on probably 4 clients, and that's a team of 2 guys, and they're some of the best, right? So that's the point we have gone a bit too far in terms of expert. Whereas these guys from this company in New Zealand don't know anything, but they've figured out what people want, and they've got that right spot. So it's businesses that are making more than $1 million a year, and they're obviously conscious about their brand, their competitors are there, they just want to be present there. You know what I mean? That's more of a selling point than getting into the real advanced stuff with me. Because I'm that customer. I am I am that customer. I went looking for someone that can help with big ad spend on Facebook. Yeah. And
to confirm, you charge $2K per month, spend only $500 on driving fans or doing ads, and keep the rest, right?
Yeah.
And there's no setup fee?
no.
Should there be a setup?
To be honest, it's pretty easy. Like, I've got the guy that does web design in my business also he was graphic design. So generally we ask for a whole bunch of photos and logos and things, and then we just create like the profile photo and then the header photo and fill out the details, you know.
But if someone doesn't have an in-house guy, maybe like $500 to set it up.
Yeah. I mean, the profit margins are big on this one.
Wasn't Will Ish selling Facebook setups for $5,000? That's what I heard from that.
I mean, you could sell, there's 1,000 different ways to sell any one of these different things, right? I'm just sharing what I've found to be like that point where there's a lot of them out there, there's a big market, the pitch works, there's not that much, it's that fine point of doing enough and getting the most amount of money. Because I am the more sophisticated customer in Facebook, and I know what goes into my things. Like, it's horrendous. Because as soon as someone starts spending big money, they want metrics, and you've got to install tracking on everything, split testing on everything. No one's going to be spending 10K a month on Facebook without split testing, right? And without, I need to know my cost per lead. I'm not going to get that question with these guys. And it's nice when you don't have that question. It's quite hard to figure that out. Well, not cost per lead, but cost to acquire a customer.
So for each client, you create a separate Facebook ad account, or how does it work setup-wise?
So if they already have a Facebook page, they just go into the settings and they add a user, they add you. If they don't, you would get them to set one up on their profile and then add you. With AdWords, it's important that we get a new one if you want to follow that licensing sort of contract. If a client already has one and it's established and you're taking it over and you're worried about adding more potential reasons for it not to go through, don't do it. It's just one client, you know. Just take over their one. It doesn't matter. But if you're going to build a big business and if you're going to have a multiplier on it, these are the things I'm imagining. Like if I'm going to sell the company and they come to me and they're like, what's to stop all of these customers leaving? And I'm like, well, this is what they signed, you know. But with something like Facebook, I don't think it matters at all. Any questions on this? So these are some more resources. And then just the same exercise.
I got a question about, do you take over their login? Do they just give you their login credentials for Facebook?
They add you as a user. So if they go onto their Facebook page, under settings it says...
Yeah, I've done that. I was just curious if you had another method.
Don't do the logins, like Facebook picks up on that, and they'll like lock their account. It's really
because it's different IPs.
That's how you lose a customer.
Okay. So say that again. Yeah.
So if you log in with their credentials, like Facebook will know it, and they'll literally lock their account, they'll lock their page, the whole thing will go into lockdown.
Yeah, because of different IP addresses.
Prevent fraud, probably.
Yeah, it's a bad practice to share logins just in general.
Well, what do you do with the website?
That's kind of the only one that you really need them, you know? There's no other option.
Sure. You can also set up like a guest account WordPress too, so we've done it with clients before, but just posting stuff, we'll give them a guest account so they don't screw anything up.
Make them a contributor.
Yeah.
But what I learned is when I did this stuff is that there's the bottom of the market, which are the guys I know that charge like $250, right? And they make nothing. And then there's the top of the market, which is like the guys I deal with for doing my Facebook stuff. These are guys known to be some of the best at Facebook, like the Facebook ninjas, and their prices are high, and that's that end. But who makes the most money? It's these guys, like the businesses that are back in New Zealand. You know, they're the ones that make the most money. And the same thing happens with AdWords too. The same thing happens with SEO. Because when you get to a level of such expertise, like, it doesn't scale.
Call Owen's law.
It's kind of like that, you know, like that Versace, then that sort of analogy. It's like, they have the highest price and everything, and they're the most famous, but who's making the most money? It's the middle ones, you know? Walmart. Yeah. If it was a cool contest, you'd pick Versace, but we're talking business. All right, so the next one is content and email marketing. So this, we'll cover it the same way we've done the others. What it is, what segment of the market, what we include in our packages that we sell to clients, how to price it, put it together, some additional resources. Who doesn't know what it is? Well, it's a loose sort of term, so I'll tell you exactly what I mean when I say content and email marketing. So it's like creating content, which is blogs, videos, posts, etc., using the content to engage and educate the audience, which is when they might email it out as a newsletter, they might post it on Facebook, and then capturing email addresses through opt-in forms. This is some of the content side, this is the email side. They really are two different things, but I've just kind of bundled them together. And so capturing email addresses through opt-in forms, and then having an email list, segmenting it a little bit, and mailing it. So a lot of companies, like the rug company was the perfect example for this, because I asked, like, in any business, where most of the money comes from is repeat customers, right? And when you don't have a customer list, you don't get to exercise that. And they have some clients, so they have a whole range of customers, and some of their products are as cheap as $150 for a kid's or doormat, right? I don't know even why they sell them. If I run that business, that product wouldn't be on the menu. They sell doormats, but then they also have $45,000 Persian rugs, right? So no customer is equal there. But the person that buys the big expensive stuff often comes back and buys 3 or 4. And I asked them if they had an email list, and they said no. And you'd be amazed at how many companies don't have one. And that's why this is a really good thing to sell. It's more of a... So I use Facebook and content email marketing for two purposes. One is like a back end, but the other is to get the deal across the line for the other things. So when you say, I can say that we do this too, and you know that helps position myself different from the other companies. It also helps get deals over the line. So I use the two last products as like business winning tools and also as upsell things. It's not too, I don't think you would front end with the last two products. Well, you could, but I think it's best if you front end with the search. That's the real sort of thing to lead with, and then later these are good tools to position you, get deals across the line, and make more money per customer. So just like everything else, what segment, it's the sweet spot, but they don't do this stuff. And when I say they don't do this stuff, they've got the content side, which is the blog, and then they've got the email side. So they don't have an email list, or they have a bad email list, they have no email capture, or they have bad email capture. So the rug company was the best because they sold all their products in New Zealand. We've got this website, it's called Trade Me. It's just like your guys' eBay over here, but it's just for New Zealand. And it's huge. It's the monopoly there. No one uses eBay in New Zealand. So they sold a ton of, like pretty much all their rugs on Trade Me anyway. And the beauty of that is they had record of all their previous sales. So one of the coolest things I did with this company was got someone to go through that, like scrape that Gmail inbox and get those out. We put that into a MailChimp folder. And then the first month they were a client, I sent out a mailing saying about some new inventory and everything, and they got a ton of new business. And that's like, I'm not kidding, they're actually probably in love with me. They send me like, you know, emails all the time saying they're so grateful and that I should come over to their home country, and like, it's one client I know that they're just going to be with me for like forever, you know. And that's one of the cool things, is if you can spot something you can do quick. And that's if someone has been in business for a while, and this is like got to be the biggest gold mine in most companies, is not having an email list. So they'd been in business for like 10 years, and I think they'd sold probably more than $30 million worth of rugs. And they had that list, but they didn't use it. Like, it's just unbelievable. I should have bought 10% of the company before I mailed it. And
how did the first one do?
Pardon?
How did the first mailing do?
Really good. Like, they got a lot of people come in. I don't know in terms of dollars, because we don't have that sort of tracking in place. But they were like blown away.
Did you know anything specific? Was it like an op of three?
So because every Persian rug is unique, I know a lot about these things because I designed my own apartment, which was another stupid thing I did this year. Because it took so much of my time and it cost so much damn money. So it was like a double loss. But in doing that, I started researching all about rugs and Persian rugs, and the thing about them is everyone's unique and they come from different places. So, and a lot of the time people buy more than one of them, and they just get new inventory in every now and then, every sort of 3 months, and that's the perfect time for them to mail. It just so happened they got more containers in, and they had these new ones, and they wanted to share what was coming in and invite previous customers to come in a week before to have preference over new stock. That was how simple the mailing was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Are they Iranians?
Pardon? Yeah.
Yeah. In Iran?
What?
Are they in Iran?
No, they live here now.
They live here?
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, sorry, in New Zealand.
In New Zealand.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm amazed at that industry.
It's very lucrative.
I know. It's amazing. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
The rugs are, you wouldn't believe how much some of them cost.
Yeah, I would.
And how like rabid the fans are to buy them. Like, it's a really good market.
How old was the list that you scraped?
Some of the contacts could have been 10 years old.
I tried doing this, but MailChimp kicked me out.
Really?
Yeah, because they got too many campaigns.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But was it customers?
Yeah. Well, no, leads.
Yeah. There's a big difference, right? So these guys were customers. They're not going to be as pissed. You know what I mean? Generally, like if you buy, you've given the details. Especially since they had bought through Trade Me. Generally, most Trade Me merchants will take that email and mail them. You know, so I figured because they were customers, if they were just inquiries from a marketing campaign 10 years ago, fully different story, right?
eBay would do the same thing. You could probably scrape a list there as well.
So I couldn't scrape from Trade Me. I had to find the success emails in Gmail, which luckily they hadn't deleted. for 10 years. They were paying for like 50 gigs of Gmail storage or something. So that's how powerful this can be for an established business. I think one of the most powerful things a business can have is a customer list, right? I'm sure you've heard that like over and over again. It's because people buy, once someone buys once, that's generally the hardest thing to do. They buy again, that's where most of the money comes from. And if you don't have a list, then you're really missing out on the best opportunity in business. So that's why this one's real powerful. And it's one of those situations where you can't really discover the need until you've sat down in a consultation sort of place. You can't really do market intelligence and work out, whether this is an opportunity or not. So it's something you should definitely ask. Like, do you have a customer list? Do you have an email list? Things like that. And so now what they also do is when someone buys in-store, they collect the email as well. Because they've got a shop. I could only scrape online purchases, so I missed out on still a whole bunch. But now what happens is when someone buys, they enter in their details and we store that too. So the list's growing, mailing the list, it's a big difference. And just one little thing like this, if you can do something like this, like not only are you going to make more money, but you're also going to have someone for life, if you can really add some value. So we do this kind of with we do some of this with the other products, depending on, because people can take a different combination. So if someone was doing SEO, then you wouldn't create a new blog or anything like that, right? So it's the same sort of thing. I use Xeries to find the article writers. Did I mention that before, didn't I? Yeah. But then if you're doing this, it's also posting that content out. And the main thing really is the email part. So
if they're doing a combination and they already have articles being written for an SEO package, do you discount this email content marketing package because it's basically there's somewhat of an overlap here?
So I call it content and email marketing because I help them write the mailings to the list, and that's kind of content. So that's why, and it's to get a good mailing is like a bit of work.
So you actually won't blog. You'll actually just be writing articles that you send to their email list?
So yeah, we'd send an email to their list, like on a once per month sort of basis.
And you do that for $2,000 a month to send out one promotion a month?
But the email system is the real thing. Like, that is the hard work. So with any of these things, there's the piece that adds the value, and then there's the piece that's hard to do, right? So the piece that adds the value is sending the email to the list and collecting the email. But the real hard part is integrating and setting up MailChimp. Now, that thing is another thing. As soon as you touch it, you're in for a couple of hours and a bit of a headache.
Is Aweber easier, or are they the same?
I haven't used Aweber because I don't know if it's still the case, but the 1 or 2 times I tried, I couldn't upload lists without having to send them opt-in things.
That's still the case.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I've chosen. Well, with MailChimp, you can upload lists and it won't ask you. You've got to send these guys a double opt-in thing. Also, the thing I love about MailChimp, and one of the big sells for the clients, is there's an iPad app, and you can get one of their photos and it goes as the background, and it's the email capture form that they have in store, so if they have a physical store. So that's what they enter the customer details into. So I can say, we'll set you up with a thing that you can have here at the counter, and you can enter in people's details, and it will add to the list.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you design like the blog theme or the newsletter template, things like that?
So it's never a template. That's the wrong way to do newsletters, So it's not one of those designed ones that you would typically see. It's generally with information and an offer. Yeah. So the one I sent for the rug company was plain text.
What if they're used to like the whole HTML thing? And
I just explained to them, like, what one would you read? And they always choose, the plain text once they understand it.
Right, so you say post that content on Facebook and other channels. So that content is the offer that you're creating for them?
No, it would be the content that's created through the blog. So if someone had the Facebook product, it's kind of overlapping. You know what I mean?
But if you have the SEO product, though, you're already creating a blog for the SEO product.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm confused as to selling this product when you're doing it in two separate things.
So I say here the things you have to have in order to do it. So the things we do is post. If someone was just an SEO client, and we sold them this, and they didn't have Facebook, then with this we would post that content onto Facebook and things.
Okay.
But we wouldn't manage their Facebook PPC. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we would help them with the email marketing and sending that out.
But if they're doing PPC and SEO, and they're having blogs written for their SEO package, you just wouldn't write a blog for this content one?
You would use the same, that would already be being done. Because they're doing SEO, right? SEO includes the blogs.
So I guess I'm saying is if you have a PPC client who needs a blog because it's mentioned here versus an SEO client, you're technically doing less.
Yeah, so that's why it's, here. Whatever part's missing of this would be done.
So if you were already doing SEO and PPC, you wouldn't put that as your product description, but you'd still sell it for the same price to them.
Well, yeah, it'd be, I wouldn't use those pieces to pitch it because they've already got it,
Gotcha.
So depending, because it's getting kind of like complicated because there's so many different things, right?
Okay.
But these are the things that they get. They might already have some, and therefore those benefits wouldn't matter. It's like if you sell someone, MailChimp, they might already have a CRM, so there's, there's different pieces they've already got.
But does that undermine then the value of what you're selling, and do you have to discount it accordingly because you might only be doing half the things on here?
No, because it's like bundled price, and the hard part is you've still got to do it every time. You know what I mean? The hard part is really the emails and getting MailChimp integrated and set up.
And if you really have to, just give them another blog post so they can get two of them.
I mean, you don't have to follow this word for word, right? Because also, like, the way I present it in a slideshow is to teach is somewhat different to how I would pitch it to a client. They're two very different sides.
Right.
So I got to try and kind of make this completely different sides. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I was a client would never see this slide.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the offer usually a discount of some kind? What's the offer that's often included in the email?
I don't like discounts ever. I think that you've got to add on something or just update them. So an update with a call to action. So the best way to do email marketing is content first, then like offer. So with the rug mailing, it was like content and then an offer at the end. So it's saying we've had a new shipment come in, we've had all these different rugs from different areas of so-and-so. And then there was an offer. It said, if you're interested in checking these out, we're going to hold them for the next 7 days as priority to existing customers.
What percentage of your business is this, did you say?
Small.
Very small?
Yeah. So SEO by itself, AdWords by itself would probably be pushing 55, 60%. Then AdWords would make up, it's pretty much 90% between not 90, it would probably be 80% between SEO and AdWords.
AdWords is your bigger one.
Yeah.
SEO.
Yeah.
So I've got an idea that would probably benefit everybody in the room on this topic that would perhaps actually really garner a lot of attention from a potential client and get the rest of their business. And it's relatively easy, and it's pretty much what you did with the Persian Rug Company in New Zealand. I'd be willing to share it. I don't want to go off topic. I know you have a schedule to keep, but if If you're interested, I can mention it. If not, I'll keep talking.
Yeah, well, why don't we bring it up at the end, because we've got to talk about some stuff at the end.
Sure.
Yeah. But I agree, if you could somehow replicate what happened with that rug company.
You can. You definitely can. I've done it numerous times.
If you find that they've got like a hidden asset like that, and you help them get a quick win, that's why AdWords is the best front end, because it's not as good as this, but it's still a quick win compared to SEO. If you get someone on SEO, there's no quick win.
They call you 5 days later and say, why am I getting the top?
Like chances are they're not really going to get, they're not even going to rank for at least sort of 3 months, you know. And even then, they're not going to be, the results aren't going to be like overnight. It's really a long thing, and it's hard to do. With AdWords, in an emergency service or a business where there's a lot of search traffic, AdWords can work within 7 days. It's driving phone calls. AdWords is one of those things, and that gets people excited, and then they're happy to invest some of that money that they're already making, because you're already helping them make money. They're happy to spread it around a bit more, you know. That's why I think with the rug company, that as soon as, you know, they're just like, how can we spend more? Yeah.
How do you collect emails? Through content bait or through...
Just an opt-in form for something like, if it's a product-based business, it might be a catalog, or it might be a price list.
It's all the same stuff.
Yeah, very, very same stuff. The main thing is not really the opt-in on the website. So I used to think, when I first did this, I thought it was all about the opt-in on the website. The main thing is having a customer list and having that as an email list inside of MailChimp, and being able to email those people once a month. Yeah. That's the real value. If you had to add like 80-20 to all of this, it would be having a customer list and communicating with it.
Regular.
Yeah.
Last point about mailing monthly, is that like autoresponder or like?
No, that's different email. Yeah. Yeah. So I've even gotten out of like autoresponders and things like that, because it's a lot of work. And this has way more impact than that, you know? To set up an autoresponder is a big job. And like, the results aren't that big, you know? Whereas getting someone a customer list and emailing it is real easy. And it's a lot of result. Yeah. Often the stuff I found is just the most in front of your face stuff, like the easiest stuff, yeah. So that is this one. Anyone have any questions on this?
For 2,000 per month, you publish one blog post per week and send one email per month, something like that?
So if they were already on SEO, I wouldn't show them any of the top sort of 3. I'd make the pitch all around. So what's going to happen this time around when I teach sales and marketing is that you have to be so flexible with which way you can go. Like, if someone already has that stuff, you don't talk about it at all. And if someone has a hidden customer list stored somewhere that you could take online, the pitch is all going to be about that. And you don't ever bother mentioning the useless benefits or the useless features. The best way to do a sale is to ask in sense first, work out exactly their situation, and only talk about the 1 or 2 things that are of interest, right? Yeah. Instead of just mentioning everything and like boring them.
Okay, so here is going to be like the email newsletter.
Yep, someone was already on SEO. All you'd really be doing is setting up an email system for them and seeing if they already have an existing email list somewhere, helping them import that. And if they've got leads and some are customers, you'd just create 2 separate lists. And then you'd give them assistance with sending an email once a month. Yeah.
What do you mean by
So you'd say, hey, we've got to send an email in like 7 days. What's been happening in the business? Like, have you got any promotions? Like, you know, just asking them what should we send out? Yeah.
And you write the email yourself.
Help. They might. Some clients will be able to write something, and I might rejig it a little bit. Yeah. But for a company that's got a customer list, it's amazing that just sending an email is like.
Also, this product has a lot of marketing.
Yeah.
What types of clients do you have that you found? You mentioned the rug company. Are there other clients that what other clients do you have, and how much revenue do you get a month from it? You said 20,000 with Facebook.
So this one would be similar to Facebook, if not a little bit less. Yeah.
So you've got like maybe 8 clients or so with it.
Yeah. So it's something I kind of stumbled on and saw the value. The real too is SEO and AdWords, but these can be like more powerful. It's just out of 100 people, SEO and AdWords are going to be most powerful. Like, but then you've got to kind of use your senses, and this might be a winner. Yeah.
So basically, if they've got a list of potential there, then you just mention it. Otherwise, it's just not relevant. You don't.
You'd still try and sell the other stuff, but this might be how you get the deal across the line. This might be an upsell. It might be anything, you know.
So how do you use it specifically to get a deal over the line?
Well, if we're talking about things we can do for them, and we're asking them questions, and we say, we'd do all of these things. You know, you're obviously missing an email list. You don't have that. You also aren't showing up in search. You know, you can show them kind of everything, and each one's priced different. And most of the time, people will take more than one product. But saying that you can do that and you just have that capability is different than the company. That's a huge differentiation point from the New Zealand directory company. Like, they don't do this stuff. Any questions?
Is there an average length for the email content that you're sending out?
Never measured it. It would probably be like, how many lines? Probably like 10 lines, yeah. And like, you never make email lines long, like, you know. It's more than just a quick 3-liner, but not like an essay, you know.
Do you ever do that where you like put the first few lines of the blog article you've done and then say click here to go to the website for your best, or not so much that approach?
Definitely not with, because you see with someone like these guys, the blog post, the only purpose it has is for SEO. It's not the best content like to read on Persian rugs to a customer list, you know? Yeah. If the person writing it, and if we were the expert on Persian rugs and people followed us for information on Persian rugs, then sure. But it's not. We just use blogging as kind of a vehicle for SEO. Yeah.
Do you get a different writer for every client?
Only if it's like a good one. So if it's a good client, like a bigger value one, then I'll try and do the Xeris thing. Otherwise, I'll keep it simple with the Express writers. Yeah. I try and make it plain text, so no logos. Because I just know that works, you know. It will work for any company. If a company's been sending those image ones, they change it to plain text. The response rate is massive. Yeah. And it worked so well with that rug one because it's like it was personal. The email marketing should always come from a person and look like it came from a person. It shouldn't come from the company name and look like a block. Yeah. So, the next slide. So additional resources to learn about this sort of stuff. HubSpot.com's good. Copyblogger.com's good. Who does the content marketing stuff really well is like Neil Patel. Anyone seen his stuff? I swear whatever term you search for in Google, it's one of his companies. Like, I searched for one time I searched for statistical significance calculator, right? Neil Patel, he'd made one. I was like, he knows his market so damn well. Like, that's what a lot of like marketers search for, right? Yeah, crazy. And I search for anything like you search for any like infographic marketing advice or something, and bang, it's like, I'm like, oh my God, how many? I don't know how he's just really good at it. Yeah, yeah. So that's some additional resources. Now the exercise, what do you need to do to upskill in this area? Just write what you need to learn, how you're going to learn it, and what date are you going to be an expert on this topic. So I think the next one is copywriting. But what I might, because copywriting is quite important and I want to do a decent chunk on it, and you still want to hear about ad roll. So I might leave it, because it is kind of marketing and sales, so I think we'll do copywriting tomorrow and marketing and sales. Cool? And it's not a skill it's not a product that we sell, it's just a skill that's really, really, really valuable. Yeah. So let's do ad roll. What do you want to know about ad roll?
So how do you use it? Do you price it separately? Where does it fit into? Because I would put ad roll as another block thing.
Yep. So the only reason I don't put it as a block there is because it's the way I determine if I should talk to someone about ad roll or not is basically if I think it's going to work really well. And how I determine that is the sales cycle and the ticket price of what it is. So if it's longer than if someone has to take time to make a decision to buy, and the average sale price is high, retargeting is like perfect fit. And that's when I'll talk to them about it. But I don't call it ad roll, I call it retargeting. Yeah.
It's just that I've talked to some clients about retargeting and they absolutely love it. They're like, oh yeah, I saw those things following me around. Can I use that?
Yeah. Clients do love it because they see themselves all the time. And people are weird like that. Like,
I see them on these big websites, they're like, this is so awesome, we advertise.
yeah. Well, they think that their ads are really showing to like everyone else in the world as much as they're showing to them. So
how much do you charge for it?
It would completely depend. Like what I had done with the rug company is kind of just bundled it in. But if I work out how much I'd sell it to someone else for, I'd probably charge $1,000 for it.
Excluding budget.
Yeah.
So why is it not like a major product category?
Mostly because I wanted to try and keep it simple, like the 4 products, and make it simple. But it's always included in the consultation as a conversation.
Sorry, was that $1,000 setup fee or $1,000 per month?
Just $1,000 per month. Yeah.
What's the average spend, like that rug company? How much money?
It's
do they
real
actually
hard to
spend
spend money in ad roll for a lot of companies.
That's fine.
Have you found that? Oh, okay.
Well, it's like $3 for 1,000 impressions or something like that. Super cheap.
Yeah, so
Very different than spending money in Apple. You can run multiple campaigns on Google, Facebook, Sidebar, Facebook, Newsfeed, or you can only spend $100 for a company.
Mm. So I found it works. It works really well for the small, for a smaller sort of business because it has a lot of click through on it, and it works insanely well for a business that has like an e-commerce site or something, because you can integrate it with that and it will show them the product. It's most valuable actually when you can do that. Like that's when you should always do it. It's kind of a complicated thing. But if you do have an e-commerce client and the average sale price is above like $100, then retargeting is going to be like a big gold mine for that client. And then for most other companies, like if they're interested in it, if you feel like it's going to work, like it's a good thing to sell. So why it's not a major product is because I don't think you'd ever use it like on the front. Like you should always say that you've got it, but I'd never use it kind of like on the front end. It's just I'd sense if someone wants it, if they need it, and flex around and mention it. One thing's for sure, there would never be a consultation where I wouldn't bring it up. Like it's a powerful thing to talk about because if someone wants it and that's their topic, I'd make the consult all about that. Yeah.
It's also very dependent on how much traffic they're getting currently and how successful your other traffic generation techniques are. So if you're doing AdWords for them and they're starting out this site from scratch, most of the traffic that's going to be retargeted to is going to be that AdWords traffic you're driving in, or the word of mouth traffic that they get that comes to the website.
I'd make it a practice too that if you get any client that you should always put the cookie on their thing, even if you're not going to sell them the product. Because if you ever do sell them the product, then like it's going to be going immediately because you've stored the cookies. Yeah.
And you can turn it on with Google AdWords.
Yeah. You can also use Facebook.
So it's worked really well with Google AdWords for us, and it's actually really funny. It's like a commercial roofing company. The dude even tells my customer, I saw you on this other website and I remembered that I wanted to call you and I called you. So he's like, that's why I was just wondering, would it be worthwhile? Like I never thought that would happen, but now I'm like, oh, maybe ad roll is not a bad option. Especially to get your Facebook ads and stuff like that.
It works really well with Facebook ads.
If you do all three together, it's like intense. Yeah, I did it once for my own campaign, and it was like sometimes you see 3 ads on the same page because you've got ad roll running, you've got Google running, and you've got Facebook running, and yeah.
Does it ever bid against each other and bid each other up, or not really?
The bidding prices, because it uses CTR, and generally retargeting ads always have a higher CTR, right? Because you've been to the site, unlike an ad you've never seen. CTR for retargeting is always higher. If you look at any sort of display ad, retargeting is high. And the biggest thing in whether they serve impressions for an ad is CTR, more than bid price, because it's an exponent to bid price. Yeah.
Do you pay per view or per click?
So the beauty of ad roll is how simple it is. So it does the bidding for you. Like it has a sort of engine that works out. And it does it based off impressions, and it does all the bidding stuff for you. You just have to set your budget, upload the ads, and it will go. So if you go to set up, and that's why I recommend using it, because it's really simple and it works quite well. Whereas if you do it in Google AdWords, it's quite complicated. If you do it in Facebook, it's quite complicated, and then you've got 2 separate things. If you do it in ad roll, you can just have it together. And honestly, I think anyone could set up ad roll. It's one of those things.
I actually saw it from Toyota once. They had like 3 ads on one website.
Mm.
Exact same ad too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get from. Let's see. Yeah.
That's it.
You said you were creating a separate ad for each e-commerce product?
So a lot of these things will have integrations. So with AdRoll and Perfect Audience, they can integrate with things like Shopify or the major e-commerce platforms, and they'll do it all for you as a sort of out-of-the-box thing. So you don't have to do that. That would be a nightmare to try and do, yeah.
So even the image on the...
Yep. Yep. It's all dynamic. Mm.
Yeah, if you've ever shopped for something on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's seen the Amazon ones.